There we go. Oh, we got some messages from YouTube. Oh. Oh my god. Still a little bit sick, not too much. So I apologize if I have a little bit of a caffeine attack every now and then. Okay, let's see. So we have a question from YouTube. It says, I know there are still 5 hours until the live stream. I'm guessing this was like a while ago. Could I get a spoiler? Maya, 3D Studio Max, Blender. I'm gonna be using Topogun, but we can use, or you can use whatever you want for the element. Like Retopology can be done pretty much in any software, and the principles of Retopology are what's important. Says, I have a lot of questions to ask, Gabe. Well, bring them on, man. Bring them on. Great one on this topic. I'm pretty sure Abe will share a lot of great tips. I will, John. I will. And Caramancito says, I hope Abe won't delete the video afterwards so we can watch it whenever we need to. Yes. So the YouTube videos that we delete, or not that we delete, we just hide them, are the portfolio reviews. Those we upload on the secondary channel, and you guys can watch them over there. The reason why we do it is we do it so that every single portfolio has a, what's the word? So they have a specific, like time frame, right? Like a little bit of a spotlight for everything. So there we go. Game on. Goon says, why don't you live stream daily? I've thought about it. I don't think I could do it. Normally on the week, I have my meetings with my mentorships, with my mentees. I have my students. I have classes that I need to check. I record the videos. I record the shorts. So it's, it can get a little bit busy in the middle of the week. That's why we only do one live stream per week. But maybe in the future, we'll have a couple more live streams. Let's see. Abel Fry says, 11 days of no electricity because of the storm. Where are you located, my friend? Were you located in, like, was it Jamaica, or... There was an island, right? A country here in the Caribbean that got hit by a really massive storm. Philippines. Okay, the other side of the world. Interesting. Wow, 11 days, no electricity. That stuff, man. I'm glad you're back. Calamancito says, hey, it's been a month. I came to watch your live again. I've been learning anatomy for some months and I'm having a doubt every now and going to sleep. Yeah, anatomy is tricky, man. It takes a while to really get it. How should I practice for Retopology in order to improve in Retopology? Well, just do it. Like if you have models that you need to retopologize, usually sculpture modules, you just do them. If you don't have any modules, then you might be able to go into places like Thingiverse, for instance, and look for some interesting models or sculpts that they are usually used for 3D printing, and try to find a way to make them into a usable asset. We will be using Topogun, Steven Hernandez. However, you can use any software for the retopology process. The software doesn't matter. What matters is the tips, the flow, the things that we're going to be doing. So the let's say the steps that I'm going to be following for this particular asset can be used for any, or can be done in any software. Catnip says, hey, really appreciate your videos. Find them very helpful. You're welcome, my friend. I'm glad they're helpful. That's the goal. That's the goal. The goal is for you to get something out of the videos, to learn, to help you in your journey, and hopefully so that you can make amazing stuff later on. Raj says, I'm Raj from Malaysia. Have always got inspired and learned a lot from your videos. I'm just graduated bachelor's degree in Malaysia. I'm hoping to be able to land a job as an animator and to work on awesome projects like you someday. Just a few questions in mind to ask. When you first started out and until now, do you work as a full-time or contract base? That's a great question. My journey is a very weird one, man. Very, very, very weird one, to be honest. I do have some contracts and I do have some full-time stuff. So for instance, right now I'm a mentor at Think Tank Training Center and at one local university here in Mexico. And throughout my career, I've been like contracted or worked as full-time as teacher in multiple universities. So that's the kind of stuff. For studios, I've worked at a couple of studios for brief periods, like 3 months, 6 months along the years. But most, I would say like 90% of my work has been through contracts, right? Like freelancing. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Calamancito, the other channel that we have is called Leal 3D Clips. So if you look at Leal 3D Clips, it should show. Still a small channel and it's just clips, like we don't do anything unique over there. But if you want to subscribe, you're going to get a little bit more information there, mainly the portfolio reviews. And then says, I currently not sure which to work as, but I want to be able to work on different projects and new things from different companies. So I think it's relatively easy to find contract work sometimes, because the market's always crazy. Sometimes there's a lot of contract work and sometimes it's not. But contract work is something that you pretty much always do. Like even some of my friends who are working full-time in different projects, most of them have some contract or freelance work on the side or on the weekends, right? Like they have their small personal project, or they're working for an indie game with some of their friends. Like there's usually a little bit of contract work or freelance work all the time. So to be honest, whatever you can get, man. At this in this point in history, in the history of the world, and with all of the geopolitics involved, anything that you can get is good. Alice in Renderland, love that name. I will be watching the stream while working on Duncan. Just learn how to project something on a Siri Mesh tool. Happy to learn a lot of Cyber stuff thanks to your teaching. You're welcome, Alice. You are welcome. We got Celestialis as well. It says, are you going to show retopology for joints and other parts that bend? No, actually no, Celestialis. Today, we're going to be doing something special because I'm going to be doing the retopology for the weapon that I designed a couple of weeks ago. And that's one type of retopology that I did not show as much on the retopology course. Because in the retopology course, we do focus a lot on deformation and animation. So this one's going to be interesting, and we're probably going to be adding this as part of the as the course as well. So it's going to be like a bonus lesson. We used to do this on the first couple of courses where we would have like a bonus lesson. So this is going to be like the bonus lesson for the retopology course. Let's see. Raj says, currently I'm kind of interested in 3D environment and animation, but I don't want to combine both of those in one demo reel. Is it okay if on my website I make 2 pages, one for environment and one for animation? Yes, but I'm going to be perfectly honest with you, Raj. Those 2 things are very different. Like if you told me I want to do environment and I want to do character, okay, yeah, that's fine because it's still modeling, texturing, like rendering, stuff like that. But animation, it's its own beast. Like it's really really intense as a career as well. Same as modeling, right? Like both of them are specializations that are really tricky. It's like if you were a doctor and you're telling me I want to be an optometrist or ophthalmologist, sorry, not optometrist, ophthalmologist, and I want to be a gastroenterologist. Like, whoa, those are 2 very different things. If you told me you want to be a trauma surgeon and a surgeon as well, like a chest surgeon or whatever, sure, those are relatively close to each other, but animation and environment art are very far away from each other. So I would recommend that you pick one of those and focus on that, and the one that you are the best at. Not necessarily the one you like the most, because that's another easy pitfall. It's the one you're the best at, because sometimes the thing that we like the most is not the thing that we're the best at. If it matches, if you're really good at something and you also really like it, that's great. But ideally you want to pick the one that you're the best at, because that's going to give you the most competitive edge. I mean, like if I apply in the company for just environment, but I still share them on my website, which I have the animation page, will scroll down and no, they will not. Like if they're hiring for an environment artist and you know how to animate, they might be like, oh, cool, but I don't care. I'm not going to be giving you any animation work if you're not being hired to be doing animation, right? Unless it's a very small company, like I'm talking less than 10 people, and where you might need to do both stuff. In that case, sure. But usually, especially big studios, they only want you to do the one role that they hire you for. Calamancito says, are you going to delete this video? I really want to watch this topic since this is very important. But no, it's not. It's going to be available. Yeah, this one remains available. Okay, what's up, my friends? Hello. Welcome to another Friday, another nice live stream workshop here with us. Thank you for being here. And thank you for being part of this amazing community. It's thanks to you that we can continue to do this, that we can continue to create awesome stuff, hopefully share a lot of cool information with you guys so that they can help, so that information can help you in your journey. Happy Friday. I know it's going to be a little bit late for some of you. Don't worry, this video will be available. However, please remain or stay here, have fun, enjoy the stream, and yeah, we're going to have some nice tips and tricks today for our live streams for our 3D retopology workshop. Jugrak here starts with a very good question. Should I get a degree in 3D, or is it okay if not? Most companies don't care if you have a degree, like the title, like the actual paper doesn't really matter. However, There are certain things that you get from going to a university or a school, such as connections, networking, development of soft skills like presentation, public speaking, organization, teamwork, leadership, like all of those kind of things. It's very difficult to learn via yourself, alone on your house, even if you're doing like self-taught processes. So it's valuable. That part of the whole thing is valuable. Can you get that somewhere else or in other ways? Yes, of course. However, the package of the college or the university is quite nice because it includes all of the 3D information that you might need, and it includes the soft skills development that you might have. However, be very careful because unfortunately a lot of schools are not prepared, or some of their programs are really outdated. So you do need to do your research. Check who the teachers are, check what kind of methods they teach, check the portfolios or the demo reels of students who are graduating from there. And if you see that those are like good stuff or good things, then sure, like it's a good decision. Again, if you can afford it. I would not recommend someone going to like high depths. For instance, I know in the US the student loans can be very, very high for some colleges. I would not recommend people to take a student loan for this kind of thing, because you can get most of this information from other sources for a lot cheaper. But it does require, if you take the other route, if you don't go to university, it does require a lot of discipline. It does require a lot of hard work to make sure that you remain on track to learning all of the things that you need. So it's every single decision that you make in your life, man, every single thing, it's always going to have ups and downs, right? Some of the things are going to be good for you, and some of the things you're going to need to put a little bit more work. So it really depends on how much you're willing to sacrifice, how much, like the price you're willing to pay, pretty much. Okay, so if you guys remember, we did this weapon a couple of weeks ago as part of a design live stream where we showcased how we can take an initial idea from one of our students on the Discord and just make it a little bit more, realistic. Well, not realistic, right? Because this is extremely like over the top stylized. But just take the idea and use some of the design principles that we talked about to make it a little bit more interesting. Did we lose connection? Testing. Anthony, I can hear you. I'm not sure if are we still live? Can you guys hear me on YouTube? Can you guys hear me on the? Yeah, we're good. How do you train your eyes to find the shapes on your character models? And if you got any other tips, like when you screenshot and liquify to do changes on the screenshot to analyze? No, I don't liquify stuff. I don't usually do it. I'm not sure. I mean, it's just analyzing the form, looking for where the shadows and the lights are. Let's see. Can you paint stylized pastel tones step by step in Substance Painter, separating the layers and differences clearly? Is that a question of if I can do it right now, or if it's a question if it can be done? If I can do it right now, I cannot. Like, we're going to be working on something else. But if you mean, is it possible to do something like that in Substance Painter? Yeah, we actually have a couple of videos about that. Did you not see the collaboration that we did with Substance Painter a couple of months ago, where we did like a shark? I did the shark inside of Substance, and I mean, it was not like pastel tones, it was a little bit more contrasty, but it was possible to do. Oh yeah, the new like H1V visa stuff that they're doing in the US, that's tricky. And hey, don't get me wrong, guys. I love you guys. I know that we have a lot of US students and US viewers. I love you guys, but sometimes there's some decisions that make it a little bit difficult to be like super stoked about the future of the industry. Even your students should get the student access to Substance. That would be great, but unfortunately, we don't have an .edu like a domain that I could give everyone so that you can get access to it. But that makes it a little bit tricky. Anyway, so this is the weapon, as I was mentioning. It has 7 subtools. So we have the main dagger, we have the bone right here, we have the what's the word? The freaking the loops here, all of those loops right there. We have I don't know what that sphere is. I'm just gonna delete it. And we have the horns, and we have the main skull right here. So the first thing that I need to sort of like think about is, do I really need to have everything separated as multiple pieces? And for the baking process, it might not be a bad idea. But for the retopology process, it can definitely be a little bit like complex to do it. So I'm going to start combining pieces. I'm going to combine some elements into a single mesh. And the easiest way to do that is just go geometry, or sorry, subtool, and I'm just going to say merge visible. And that's going to merge all of the different elements into a single subtool. So as you can see, this is what we get. And we still keep the polygroups, which is great. And what I want to do here is I'm going to hide the parts that I want to keep separate. For instance, That blade, I want to keep it as a separate piece. And all of these things that I see right here, they pretty much are supposed to be the same element. The only ones that I'm definitely going to separate are the teeth. And the reason why I want to separate the teeth is because it's going to be a little bit easier. Actually, now that I think about it, it might not be necessary to separate the teeth, to be honest. It's always tricky to retopologize teeth. It's always a little bit of a mess. But I'm gonna keep them. I'm gonna keep them united. So we're gonna have two pieces. We're gonna have this whole thing right here. I'm gonna press Control W to separate them into polygroups, or to have like two polygroups right now. And now if I go over here like this, you're gonna see that we're gonna have two main polygroups: the blade and the whole handle of the thing there. So I'm gonna do a split, and I'm gonna do a group split here. There we go. Hit OK, and this is what we're gonna have now. I do want to have eventually the option to quickly select the teeth or the horns or the mask or the bone. And there's a very cool tool that we have now inside of ZBrush. I didn't find it until very recently. If you go here to Polypaint, we can actually do an auto groups for the polyframe so that every single tool has its own polygroup. And then once I do that, I can do Polypaint from polygroups. And what that's going to do is it's going to paint every single object with a different color, with a different polygroup. This is what we're eventually going to be using for a vertex mask or for an ID mask, so that we're going to be able to use that. Yes. So this thing right here is going to be attached to the color itself. Of course, right now it looks a little bit like crazy because of all of the rainbows. So ideally, we do want to sort of like merge all of the elements into a single one. So for instance, all of this like bandages right here, I'm just going to Control W. And again, Polypaint from polygroup. And that's going to give me a single one right there. Same for the horns, right? So I'm going to just select all of the pieces for the horns, because they were all modeled as separate pieces. Do something like that. And then Control W to polygroup, and then Polypaint from polygroups. There we go. So now we're gonna have one polygroup, one Polypaint for all of that stuff, one Polypaint for the skull. Which of course for the skull we also want to have all of the teeth as part of. Actually, no, I want the teeth to be a different polygroup than the skull. So let's hide the skull. Control W, and there we go. So we're gonna have horns, skull, teeth, and then the main bone right there, and this ones. But all of them are the single subtool. This is important because when we retopologize, we want to retopologize as a single element. But when we do the bakes, we want to make sure that we have the what's the word? The proper elements, right? So we want to have the separation on the ID mask with these things right here. And we got here our good friend David Sarn is on the house, or in the house. What's up, my friend? How do you select the mesh? Very simple. Control Shift, and if it has a different polygroup, it gets selected. Right? If it doesn't have a different polygroup, it's not going to work. But if it has its a unique polygroup, it's going to be selected. Now, very important, we need to rename this. So this is going to be called handle. Let's call this dagger handle, and this is going to be called blade. There we go. Now I'm going to do another little trick. I'm going to go to C plugin, Decimation Master, and I'm going to pre-process all. So pre-process all is going to go through all of my subtools. In this case, we just have two subtools. So it's going to check every subtool, and it's going to apply the pre-process of the decimation. This is not the decimation yet, so we're going to have to do that afterwards. They're going to be adding that soon, Catnip. So what would I do to change ZBrush? Definitely a UV system and a retopology system. And they say they're going to be adding it. It's supposed to come out this year. I was actually waiting to see if they would release it for this ZBrush Summit last weekend, but they didn't. So it's probably going to be like next month or something. And I wanted to do this dagger with that system, but unfortunately we're going to have to wait a little bit for that. But once they have that, it's going to be like really complete as a package, to be honest. Tolga Ayata says, greetings from Turkey. I love you. You're a solid guy. Thank you, my friend. Thank you. I try to be. Let's see. Hey, my goal in my career is to work as a 3D character artist for games, and I also plan to learn character animation and character rigging as a backup skills. I've wondered if that sounds okay. I would probably focus on character rigging first, because as I mentioned earlier today, animation is its own world. Like, it definitely requires a lot of skills and a lot of like practice. So the time investment that you need to be proficient at both is quite big. It's very difficult. Like, I haven't seen a guy that's like really freaking good at animation and really freaking good at character creation. Like, it's not super common. I'm guessing there has to be someone crazy enough to do that, but it's not very common. There we go. So we've decimated both elements. Again, we have the dagger handle and the blade. Now I'm gonna go C plugin. We're gonna go to FBX export import. We're gonna export all. Bin is fine. Very important that we export this as what's the word? As an FBX, so that the information from the polypaint remains. It's gonna be called Gold Blade High. And now, of course, we're gonna go to Topogon. Let's see. Thank you, David. Yeah, no, I love this dagger as well. It's one of those personal projects, and I really needed this. I was talking to my wife yesterday, and it's like, oh man, I've been working on a lot of stuff this year, a lot of like mentorships and a lot of like content here for the channel, and I haven't had the time to really do something that I really like enjoy just for myself. And this dagger is one of those things that I really enjoy, because it was created, yes, for the channel here for one of the live streams, but it was like our own creation, right? Feels, I don't know, feels a little bit more special. So there we go. The fact that we divided these things into 2 elements is going to make it very simple to do the retopology process, because I can just select, for instance, the dagger handle right here, click on the plus sign, and there we go. Now I'm inside this whole thing. This color, we can actually remove it if we don't want to see the color as like intensely, with one of the color variations right here. Good night, Calamancito. Oh my god. See you soon, my friend. What is my GPU model? I have the 5080, RTX 5080. I got it actually quite recently. So, yesterday, we had a short that was very controversial. It went a little bit viral, I mean, compared to some of the other shorts, and we were talking about poly count. And I did do a little bit of a clickbait title right there, which was saying that poly count doesn't matter. And I knew people were going to get like angry with that specific quote. But it's not that poly count doesn't matter. Of course, poly count matters, but it matters a lot less than we might think in terms of the production of an asset. It matters based on the context. So when someone tells me, oh, my asset is 5,000 triangles and I think I need to get it to 4,500, dude, 500 triangles are not going to kill your model, right? Like, it doesn't matter at that point. 500 triangles is not the difference. It's going to destroy your project or destroy your game or whatever. So that's what I meant. Like, you need to be careful about where you put your focus, because sometimes we focus too much on the small little details, on the small little numbers, and we forget about what the most important thing is, which is the quality of our pieces. So for instance, here, we have a very interesting element, right? And I do want to make it low poly, so I'm going to try to follow the sort of like World of Warcraft like approach to this thing. And I'm going to give myself a goal. My goal is going to be to try to keep this between 3 and 4K like triangles at most. And I think we should be able to succeed. We're not going to be smoothing this, which is something that we normally do for other characters and stuff like that. So this one I'm gonna keep it like really simple. But I do want to have a good quality, and especially for instance here on the blade, I do want to be able to capture a lot of this information. Now, what is the information that we capture, right? Like, that's the important question. Let's take a look at that bump right there, like that big cut. Do we need to capture that big cut? Does it change the silhouette? It changed the silhouette slightly. Can we afford to capture that little silhouette? I think we can. I think we can add, for instance, a couple of like points right here, like this, and then add another one right there. And we're gonna have triangles, by the way. If you are triangle phobic, then this is not gonna be the stream for you, because triangles are perfectly fine. And once we have these triangles, as you can see, we can even add a couple of extra edge loops here on the border of our weapon, and we're gonna be perfectly fine, right? Because all of these are flat areas on our element, and we're not gonna have any issues into making this part of the blade's like surface. But once we get into an area like this, right, this is very important. If you have an object or an element or a detail that does not change the silhouette, right, like you see the element, it does not change the silhouette, we can actually have that in the normal map. So all of these things right here can be completely pretty much like covered by this big planks of like polygons, and we're going to be just fine, okay? So I'm going to keep going over here. One of the reasons why I love Topogon is because I can just focus on the topology without having to worry about like making the faces. And then when I start making the faces, the topology is going to sort of like sort itself out automatically. So for instance here, I know that I'm gonna have maybe a couple of triangles, but that's fine. I can just sort of like bridge these things right there, and it's gonna be perfectly fine, right? Like that's a square even. So that's gonna give me enough of a curvature here on the blade side of things that's gonna just look nice in the game. It's gonna play nice, and I'm gonna be able to paint it nicely as well. Any questions there? Let's see. Topogon is better than Maya or simpler to use? It's better than Maya and simpler to use in terms of retopology. Like, definitely better than Maya. I love Maya. Like, I use it all the time, but I gotta admit that it's not the best for this sort of like retopology things. So here with the blade, one of the first things that I need to focus on is the silhouette of the sharpness. Like I know that if I capture the sharpness correctly, like all of this like loops and everything, it's gonna be a lot easier. Let me turn off the handle there so that we can. Oh my God, where am I? Am I working on something else? Oh, I'm working on. Okay, simple mistake here. I'm working on the dagger handle, and I'm creating this on top of the other one. I'm actually need to bring it into here. There we go. So let's turn that off. And there we go. And this one's a little bit too light. There we go. I don't know why it's too light. Color here. Here, color. Make it a little bit darker. That's way too white. Anyway, so what I was mentioning is that I need to focus on this like thing right here first, on the silhouette of the element. Still feel like it's way too white. I don't like that. Go there, there. And once I figure out the silhouette, as you can see here, I'm trying to keep the curvature of the blade as clean as possible, because one of the things that is very obvious to see, especially with weapons, is when the blade area is very faceted. It looks like very low poly. So it's important, if possible, even if we need to add a couple of extra like polygons here and there, or some triangles to really capture that curvature. Sometimes it's better to do it. It's one of those things where you really need to be, where you really need to ask yourself, do I want one extra poly count if I can get a better quality result? And the answer is typically yes. So here, for instance, I'm using these points to get that silhouette. I'm still a little bit concerned. Well, not concerned, but I'm a little bit like, why is it not? Why is it not? Why is it so blue though? W? It's pay to own, not subscription. Yeah, this is pay to own, so you just pay for it once and that's it. What do you mean about poly count can be quite high for AAA price for PC or about my PC with some nothing on CS2, but I think it's about trash. Yeah. So optimization is fine. We actually had another short a while ago where I talk about why optimization is such an important thing, and people are forgetting a little bit about it. So that's the thing. Like, it's not always poly count that's going to kill the optimization of a project. Sometimes there's other things, like there are like shader stuff that can be very, very expensive, very heavy. There are like particles, for instance, sound, even like some music and some like elements in regarding sound can be a little bit tricky too. So it really depends on the engine. And yes, I'm gonna be the first one to admit that there are a lot of games out there. I'm a huge fan of Monster Hunter, for instance, and there's a lot of games that are not optimized well at all. I even have I have a very beefy PC, and sometimes it even struggles with Monster Hunter. So yeah, it's something that the developers should definitely try to clean up if possible. Okay, let's go to the other side right here. Now this other side is a little bit interesting because, as you can see, we have a flat area, so we need to account for that flat area a little bit right there. We need to try to find the center line right here. Having a center line is going to be super important. Normally, this is a question that I get asked. Normally, when I'm working on retopology, I like to do it per one side, if possible, right? Like if the element or the character is not asymmetrical, I do it with one side, and then I'll just mirror it. And I normally will mirror it in Maya, like before UVs. You can mirror and you can work with mirror stuff here inside of Topocon. But most softwares, especially Retopology softwares, they tend to be a little bit buggy in terms of mirror stuff. So that's why I prefer to have things, a little bit more, like keep things simple for as long as we can. There you go. So we have some really interesting shapes right here. All of this like damaged metal. All of that we need to capture. And one important thing about the center line is you do want to keep like a clean edge loop. So for instance here, I'm going to go there and then make a triangle so that I can keep having just a single face going along this edge right here. There we go. Let's see. As a 3D journalist, what are the softwares best to know? I'm working on Maya and Substance Painter. Add ZBrush. You need ZBrush, man. Like, again, I've said this before and I'll say it again, and you can have whatever thoughts you want about the current state of industries and companies, but one of the things that you need to learn as a 3D artist, especially if you want to work in big projects, is ZBrush. It has great tools. Yes, it's a little bit pricey. I'm not going to deny that. It's like $50 a month, which can feel quite intense. But most of us can spend that much amount of money on a like get together, right? Like going to the movies and like going to drink, like if you like drinking. So it's one of those areas where you need to be like, okay, from a professional sort of like mature point of view, I might need to save a little bit of money to be able to afford my ZBrush license, because I need to pay for, or because it's going to help me to get even more money, right? Thanks to the kind of work that I'm going to be able to do. So yeah, if you're running Maya, that's great. If you're learning Substance Painter, that's great. But you are going to need ZBrush eventually, because there's just details that you cannot get and you cannot achieve without sculpting. If you want the free route, if you're like, no, I don't want to pay for that money, or I don't want to pay for that, there's a couple of other options that are not bad. There's Nomad Sculpt, for instance. There's Blender. There's Shapelabs. That's a VR one, but it's quite fun as well. So there are other options. But ZBrush is king for a reason. Go. Again, trying to keep this as simple and as clean as possible. Simple and clean. Like, you guys play Kingdom Hearts? Oh, that was a good series. Very convoluted, but it was a fun series. For instance, here I'm going to use triangles, that we don't need to add too many elements, and we can capture this like churn right here a little bit nicer. Let's see. Subscription ZBrush can give you money and a job. A Netflix subscription can't. Yeah, exactly. No, for instance, I have friends. They're not artists, right? I have friends that will buy like games, like 2 or 3 games per month, right? Like $60, $70 games every single month. And they'll play like the hell out of them, of course. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes they just like collect them on their libraries, on their Steam libraries. And then they replay. It's like, dude, like if you have $60 to buy a game that you're not even going to play, you definitely have $50 to pay for a software that's going to get you more money, right? Like it's going to get you an opportunity, and skills that you can use to invest in yourself. You guys need to think a lot about that, and that's something that I wish I had learned when I was younger. Like people always ask me, oh, is there something that you would have changed? That's one of those things. Like understand that there's a very, very different thing between spending money and investing money, right? So if you buy something that's going to make your life better, it's going to make you faster, it's going to make you more efficient, it's going to teach you a skill that you can later market or something like that, that's not a what's the word? You're not spending money, you're investing money, right? It's eventually going to help you out. Sometimes it takes a while for that investment to pay off. Like it's not immediate, right? But like investing in yourself is one of the best things that you can do in this world. And I remember I had a mentor, he's like quite successful financially speaking, and I talked to him one time. I was like, hey dude, like I don't know, I think at the time I had like $4,000, which is quite a bit of money, right? It's like I have $4,000. I told him, what should I invest in? Because I know he invested in in stocks and in financial things and financial instruments. And he told me, dude, at this point you should not be worrying about investing in that kind of stuff. Like even though 4,000 might seem like a lot of money for you right now, it's almost nothing compared to what you can make though. So it's easier. You're gonna get more return of investment if you invest those 4,000 into getting more skills that are gonna allow you to charge more for the things that you know than trying to invest them on an instrument, right? So if you think about that, like for instance, I don't know, paying for a mentorship or buying a course or enrolling into a class, right? Buying a book, doing those kind of things, it might be a $50, $60, $100 investment. But if that eventually allows you to change how much you charge per hour from whatever it is to double that, then that becomes like a very, very profitable return of investment, right? So it's one of those things that that I wish I had been like a teacher or taught a lot earlier than I did. Let's see. I want to know, why are you adding triangles and quad boats? Why not only quads? Omni, that's a great question. So again, as I mentioned, you need to stop being triangle phobic. Triangles are perfectly fine, especially for this kind of object. This is a weapon, right? So this weapon is not going to deform, it's not going to bend, it's not going to break or anything. It's just going to be a static mesh that's going to be moving around. So the reason why I decide to add triangles on some of these areas instead of pure quads is because triangles allow me to do two things. They save me some space, right? Like they save me the amount of polygons that I need to add to the element, and they allow me to capture the silhouette of the object a lot better. So those two things, the optimization of how many points we have and the silhouette capturing of the element, are the most essential things for this kind of object. So for instance here, right, like what's the easiest way? I'm just gonna bridge there and there. How can I fix this area right here? Of course I can make everything quads. Look at this. If I want to make everything quads, I would go like that, and then I would go like that, and then I would go like that, and then here we have a triangle and a quad, so I need to add like an extra point right there, and then I need to find a way to add another point. There we go. So it's a mess, right? It's too many quads, too many points. It's a lot easier if I just look at this whole thing and be like, hey, from here to here, that's one, and then from here to here, that's another. That's it. Why? Because this area, as you can see, it's mostly flat. It's a very flat area, so all of that stuff is going to be just baked down into the normal map, and we're not going to have to worry about any sort of like detail. I am worrying about some other stuff. For instance, here you can see on this hole that I created, I'm definitely taking into account the what's the word, the loops, right? Like the support edges that we normally need for this kind of like round elements. So that I'm definitely gonna like pay attention to it. But you don't always need to have quads for this kind of assets if you know where to place your triangles. Triangles are your friends, guys. They're very, very good. And even in characters, by the way, like a lot of people are like, oh, characters should never have a triangle. I've seen AAA games, again, God of War, League of Legends, Blizzard game, Marvel Rivals. You know how people can like rip the models and you can take a look at them. Well, if you take a look at the models, you're going to see triangles everywhere in a lot of places. Of course, you need, again, to know where to place those triangles. They should not be in areas that are going to deform very heavily, like the eyes or the middle of the fingers or something like that. But it's perfectly fine to have triangles on your assets. You just gotta know where to have them. People will be surprised how much heavy lifting the baking process. Yeah, I mean, yes, but that's another thing, Alan. That's a great question. So yes, baking is gonna save you. Baking is gonna sort of like hide a lot of details and a lot of errors, and you can sort of like get away with a lot with baking, but you should not rely on baking. I use this metaphor all the time. 3D is a very sort of like compounding thing. So if you have a good model, and then you have good textures, and then you have good bakes, and then you have good render, you're gonna have an amazing project. If you have a bad model and you try to fix it with textures, then you're gonna need to fix it with lighting, and then you're gonna have to fix it with render. So it becomes a mess trying to just fix. And the famous quote of "fix it in post," I'll fix it in post. Oh, it's a very, very dangerous one, because yes, technically it can be fixed in post, but it's never gonna look as good as if you are very clean when you're working on the early stages of anything, right? So ideally, you want to be very, very clean when you're working on your stuff. The cleaner you can be, the better, because every single step that you do in a clean way will be better for the whole process. So it's one of those things that it's better to focus on having a great sort of like starting point before going into a into the next stage of the process. Couch Otter says, hey, Ave, just wanted to thank you. I'm an old school nerd, finally back working in 3D after a long hiatus of caregiving for family, and I've learned so much from you. I wish I had your content when I got started in BFX in the 90s. Cheers. Thank you, Couch Otter. See, that's a funny thing. One of the reasons, and people have asked me, is like, why did you decide to start doing like this content? First of all, I love teaching, right? It's a very fun thing that I enjoy, and I feel like I'm quite good at it. And not to brag too much about that, but I feel like I'm a good teacher. And one of the other things is like, I thought, hey, if I was younger, or when I was younger Ave, right? He wanted to learn all of these things, and there was no one like really teaching it the way I would like it to be teach. And I know this sounds very, I don't know, like selfish or maybe self-absorbing, but I wanted to make content sort of like for myself in the past, right? Because I knew that if that's what I wanted, there's probably more people that would resonate with the way I explain things and with the way that I teach. So thank you, my friend. I'm glad you're back. I'm actually in that stage of my life right now. I'm currently a dad. I have a kid. She's 4 years old. And I can relate to how much time it really takes away. Well, not takes away, but how much time you really need to invest to be the best dad you can, right? So it's great. That's another great thing about art, and that's another question. Even if I'm old, I'm still going to be doing art. Even with AI, I'm not scared about AI. I'm still going to be doing art. If it's not 3D, I'll do painting, I'll do sculpture, I'll do whatever I need to do, because art is such a human thing to do. It's such something so special that we have, where we can not only share and create things, but we can relate, we can resonate, right? It's therapeutic in a way. Like this retopology process, for instance, to me, it feels very cathartic, because you just focus on little squares, like solving a little puzzle here and there, and that's all you need to do. So it's great that you got back into art, my friend. That's awesome. Let's see. Sant Art says, "Hello, Ave. How are you doing? What is the price of this software, please?" That's a great question, and I actually do have a little offer for you guys. So, well, it's not an offer that I don't want to overhype this, but here, Topogon. So Topogon is available. You can download it for free. The only thing is you're not going to be able to save it, but you can download it to learn it. And then once you're ready to buy it, you just buy it. And the buy now button, there we go. It's $150 per, what's the word? Forever. It's forever. It's a standalone license, and you got it for free. I know it's a little bit pricey, right? It's not like, oh yeah, there you go, $150. But it's $150 and you have it for forever, right? However, we do have a course that I did in collaboration with them. Actually, we worked with them last year. Was it last year? Yeah, it was last year. And we did this complete guide to retopology. So if you get the course, you will also get access to a special like code that you can redeem. And I don't remember if it was 15% or 20% discount that you get, but they'll give you that. So there are instructions inside of the course once you buy it. I believe it's which one was it? This was one of these videos there explaining that, but yeah, no, actually, when you get the email, when you enroll and you get the email, you get the instructions on how to redeem your coupon. And in this one right here, we go over the retopology process for animation ready meshes. So for this like gym guy, we do this alien, which is like a game asset. We do this like Triceratops head. It's like what, like 10 hours? Yeah, 9 hours of video content, and yeah, like people really like it. Happy. Oh, I'm glad you asked that, my friend. I specifically did a course earlier this year. It's one of my favorite courses, and it's this one right here. Hand-painted 3D character for games. So if you are asking exactly like how to do a character League of Legends style, you know, low poly and hand-painted, it's this one right here. The this pirate course, the hand-painted one. So this one is like, it's one of my masterpieces, I'm gonna say, because it's such a good course. People really like it, and I enjoyed the process. Like the concept that we use from Labros Panozzi, it's amazing. Labros has worked with Blizzard in the past, so his concept was really clean and really prepared for all of the things that we did. So it's like a very like industry standard thing. Like you're gonna be doing a lot of things that you eventually would do if you were working on one of those places. That's why I really enjoy that course. Okay, there we go. Did you try the new Retopologizing 4? Not yet, because it's a little bit pricey, right? It's like at 40 or not, what, like $80, $70, and I already have Topogon, so it looks very similar to the Topogon tools. That's why I have not tried the Retopologizing 4. But that's another great option, by the way. Like all of the things that I'm doing right here, you can totally do them in any other software. You can even do this in ZBrush. I would not recommend that to my worst enemy, to do it with like C-Sphere Retopology, but it is possible to do it. There we go. So as you can see, with this, we're pretty much done with the blade. Thank you for the sub. Who is this? Dolfo Ferraz. Dolfo, thank you, my friend. Yeah, I'm gonna save in just a second. Let me just finish this inner loop right here. This inner loop right here. There we go. Boom, 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 boom. Boom. Awesome. There we go. So let's Control S. Let's call this Goal Dagger Retopo. There we go. So right now, this whole thing only has 500 triangles, 501 triangles. So that means that if I duplicate this to the other side, we're going to have 1,000 triangles. So that's great. 1,000 triangles for, what's the word? For this whole thing, I think it's in a very good position. We're probably going to have to increase this a little bit because of this part that I just forgot. So let's just finish this area right here. Now, the trick, or one of the things about hand-painted stuff, is that a lot of the bevels that we have, we're going to be doing that eventually with hand-painted. I'm not sure if I'm going to be, like, showing that on stream. I kind of want to take this weapon and just do it on my own. I know it's a little bit selfish to say that, but, again, it's one of the... this is one of those projects that I really want to just have fun, relax, and enjoy the process without a little bit of the pressure that I have when I'm streaming. Because I know that when I'm streaming, I need to be entertaining as well. So for instance, all of these bevels right here, I can decide, do I add that bevel or do I keep it without the bevel? I think I'm actually going to keep it without the bevel, to be honest, and we'll just take care of that on the hand painted approach, because I don't want to push the poly count too high. Will I add some rigging tutorials? I'm not sure, my friend. To be honest, I don't think so. We might do some rigging videos on the channel. Like I'll do like an interesting rig of I've done a bow before, but I'm not really a rigger, so I don't feel as confident sharing stuff. I can share the basic things, but I don't know the advanced things to do that. Let's see, coffee, bro. This price is high for me. I'm from Brazil. I gotta save money for it. I know, my friend. I know. I've really tried to make it as competitive as possible. And I understand that the price can be a thing. I'm not gonna deny it is pricey, but I'm pretty confident about the quality that you're gonna get from it. Remember the little thing that I mentioned about a couple of minutes ago, the investment side of things? It's an investment. So if you can't afford to sacrifice a couple of things that you're used to and invest in yourself, it's worth it. It's worth it. Like, I've invested so much money in my education throughout the years. You will be surprised. But that's what's allowed me to climb and to get better and better at all of the things that I do. Okay, so there you go. That's pretty much it. Now, here we have a little bit of an issue with that face. This face right here, I'm going to add an extra triangle here to help it support it a little bit better. That's called a non-planar face. Those can be a little bit tricky sometimes if you're trying to capture too much like silhouette. Same for this one right here. Like, that should help a little bit with the whole thing. And then we can go to the handle. Now, this handle, of course, let's just turn off the blade so we're not distracted. This one's a little bit more tricky, a little bit more complicated. The cool thing is that it's symmetrical. So let's start from the bottom down, right? So here, I'm going to start with plus here, and let's start drawing. Yeah, I mean, not to brag, but I've gotten messages from some students that say that they've paid for full classes, like for like college like packages or university packages, and gotten nothing out of them, like very outdated information or very wrong information. And then they're like, oh, I wish I had found your course a lot earlier because you explain things so much better and you share the steps in a clearer way. So I do think my prices, like, I've had people tell me, hey, your prices are way too low. Like, you should increase the prices of your courses because they're way too low. So I understand, and I wish our economies were similar, so that this was not like that much of an investment, but I truly believe that they are worth it. Let's see. How do you approach if you will add bevel? Like, add bevel with one segment? Oh, one segment. Definitely one segment. Blatt, just like cover. Like, for instance, here on this, like, bandages, you can see that the bevel on this bandages is a little bit more intense. We can cover that. Like, we can capture that bevel if we want, but that's going to add up, again, a little bit too much, like, poly count. Actually, accidentally did it right here. So I'm just going to avoid it. I'm just going to have it right in the center, and eventually that bevel is going to be painted in. Just paint in into the whole thing. That way we save ourselves from too many polygons, right? And as you can see, guys, one of the tricks that I'm doing here is I'm trying to have all of the squares be of a similar size. That's one of the secrets about retopology. You want the size of your elements to be very similar. Like that detail right there. See that like very big like break that we have right there? I don't care. I'm just gonna go straight across it, and all of that information is just gonna be baked down. I know it feels like wrong, or it feels like we're we're not capturing all of the detail. But remember, this is another type of optimization that we're doing for this weapon, and we don't need to capture that silhouette because it's such a small silhouette, right? Like we're always going to be seeing it from afar. So as long as we can paint that silhouette or yeah, sort of like showcase that silhouette on the texturing, then we don't need to actually add it into the topology, and that's going to give us a more efficient topology. That's why I've mentioned this before. That's why games like League of Legends and like World of Warcraft are so famous in the world as well, because they can be run in pretty much any system, right? Like you don't need like a super beefy computer because most of the stuff is heavily optimized. Go. Let's go here. Let's see. In my 3D school, I've had no retopology courses and 2 weeks of workshop class to learn ZBrush. And 80% of the 3D knowledge I've got is from your courses. Yeah. I mean, thank you, Noah. Thank you for sharing that. And unfortunately, that's a very common thing that I've had with my students throughout the years. And I'm not saying I'm the only source of information, by the way. Like you are. Like, I would strongly encourage you to use or get as much information from everywhere as possible. If you like my teaching style and you like the way I explain stuff, that's great, and I really appreciate that. I'm really thankful for that. But I'm not the word of truth for the 3D world or anything. So it's perfectly valid for you to go and get more information from other people. I've mentioned some other great ones as well. For instance, one that I really like is Ryan Kingsley. He's been a very big influence throughout my career. I learned a lot of like ZBrush stuff from him, and he's got a lot of like this sort of like classical eye to things, right? Like he's really good. So Rafael Grissetti, of course. There's a bunch of them, and you can learn from as many sources as you can, or the more sources you have to learn from, the better your information is going to be, the better your preparation as well. Saumil says, hey, Ave, can you suggest me a really good course or YouTuber where I can learn how to make a game ready prop from scratch? Yeah, of course. I have one. That was actually the first course that I did for this project. It's this one. Blender. It uses Blender. The only software that you're going to need to pay for is Substance Painter, because we do the texturing inside of Substance Painter, but everything else you can do inside of Blender. And it's this one. Yeah, Blender 3D AAA weapon for games. We go from the very beginning all the way to the end of the like presentation process, and we do high poly, low poly, bakes, texturing, rendering, everything. This is probably the one of my go-to courses to recommend people when they want to learn a little bit about the whole pipeline. Go here. Now here, as you can see, one thing that is happening is this bone is sort of like opening up a little bit. So we're getting like wider. So that means that I'm going to use a couple of triangles here to give myself a couple more edge loops as we get to the crown of this bone, so that we can capture the silhouette a little bit better, of course. Did you guys see the trailer for the new Michael Jackson movie? Looks quite sick. I'm not like a huge Michael Jackson fan, but I mean, he was awesome. Couch Otter says, I low-key love doing Retopo and UVs. Just throw on some tasty jams, soul puzzles. Yeah, I enjoyed this as well. And I've seen some, like, someone was saying that there was going to be like AI-assisted retopology tools. And yes, there will be. There already are. Like, Serum Measure pretty much counts as one of them. It's like a computerized automatic way of doing retopo. But this kind of retopo where you really need to optimize and you really need to look at the edges of the element and try to solve it like a puzzle, I have not seen any tool that does this. Most of the tools that I've seen for automatic retopo, they'll do like more high poly level of retopology. So I think this thing's still gonna be valid for quite some time. So as you can see, a couple of triangles there. Not gonna hurt anyone. And it's just gonna make this whole area look a lot closer to the silhouette that we want to have, right? So all of that handled right there. It's gonna unfold just fine. We're not gonna have any stretching. Like, all of this is gonna work fine. If we get enough time today, I'll do the bakes, which I think we will. I'm moving quite fast. I'm like the Speedy Gonzalez of freaking retopology here. So this is why Topogon is so good, by the way. Like the fact that we can just like click points and quickly bridge stuff and just like add all of the elements. It allows for a very sort of like fast process. I remember the first couple of characters that I did Retopo for, it took me like, I don't know, what was it? Like a full day. Like doing a character would take me like a full day. Nowadays, I can probably Retopo a character in like 2 hours. And then a complex character at that, like not just a simple one. Like the Undead Captain that I showed you, the stylized one. That one, I think, recording time, it was like 2 hours, right, Alan? Alan is our editor here. He was the one that did the edit for the whole thing. But I think it was like 2 hours of Retopology content. And it had a bunch of props, so it is possible to retopologize quite quickly. So there we go. Let's see. Najor says, I've watched some of your YouTube videos on YouTube. Didn't know you were also on Twitch. I'm a fellow 3D prop artist here. I'll give you a follow. Thank you, Najor. Thank you. Yeah, we're pretty much everywhere. We're on Instagram, we're on TikTok, we're on YouTube. We're on that's pretty much Threads, I think. Facebook too. There we go. So for instance, all of this is a tricky one. This is a great area for explaining. So how are we gonna tackle this part right here, right? Because as you can see, we actually have a very like intense change in silhouette on that particular area. So we do need to capture it somehow. And the best way to do this is to first find the plane on the other side, like this, right? And then think, okay, how many faces I need here? Probably 4. I'm gonna do 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is where I would definitely like invest a couple of extra points. Because if we keep it as a triangle, like a very flat triangle, it's just going to look a little bit too weird. So I prefer to have just a little bit of space there to catch the bone, right? To catch a little bit of the bone inside of that face. And then catch the rest of the border here. So that's going to give me the silhouette that I need right there. But as I get closer to this area, like right around here, it becomes a triangle. Right? And this goes out. And this goes out. Like that. And then here, oh, this is a tricky one, is this triangle right here. We actually need to push it a little bit closer to the outer edge, like there, so that we can just merge it with this one right there. And we might need another little triangle right there. Those are the areas where triangles are so important, because we can use them to cover all that information, right? We're gonna have to do something similar over here, because again we have another change in silhouette. This is one of the things that I mentioned, and this is why a lot of the games sometimes look a little bit too simple, right? Because the more simple the silhouette is, the easier the retopology process becomes. So a lot of studios, on the designs of their characters, they might just go for something that is not as intense in terms of silhouette, to save a little bit of time on the retopology process. That's another reason why a lot of characters have like hats or are bald in games, because doing hair is tricky, right? It takes a lot of time. So having a protagonist with a hat or like a helmet is usually easier. Like a little bit of those shortcuts, and it's fine. Like, I mean, you can totally have a character like that, and it's not gonna be a bad character or anything. But it's definitely a little bit of a shortcut. Like, I remember most of my characters, if you go and look at my portfolio, most of my initial characters, they didn't have hair or the silhouette was really relatively simple. Or masks, right? Yeah, masks are another one. It's the same reason why when people are drawing people or like characters, they will hide the hands behind the backs or inside their pants, right? To avoid drawing hands. Another very common thing. It's part of taking a couple of shortcuts every now and then. There we go. That's it. That's all I need, because all of that information, the bandage and the bone, that's all going to be baked there, and the silhouette's not going to change as much. And we're almost there. This is the tricky part. This is the not tricky area, right? It's not difficult or anything, but it just takes time. It just takes time to be very precise about this, like elements right here. Any questions so far? Let me read some questions. Let's see. Yuku Paint is a Blender add-on. Yeah, that's a good option. I haven't used it, to be honest, but that's a good alternative. What's the most optimized way to do hair? There's so many ways to do it. Ooh, I'm preparing something about hair. But there's pretty much 3 ways to do hair. Hair cards, sculpted hair, and realistic hair, like with XGen or any of this like hair systems. Houdini has, I think it's called Bellum. So there's like hair systems that will actually create the hair fibers. The most efficient one, I would probably say, or the easiest one is probably sculpted hair. And then the most efficient one is probably hair cards to get like the best result and the most like efficient. But it's definitely tricky. It requires a little bit of optimization. Petite Flesh says, hey, if I find blocking out super low poly a good workflow for me, but I've heard sculptors say using the move tool a lot will stunt progress. Am I hurting myself long term? No, I don't think you are. No, the blocking at the super low poly is fine. But I don't go super low poly. I'll probably keep it around 50,000 triangles for the blocking stage. Would Substance Painter 2020 work for your courses? I managed to get a stiff like long. Yes, it should work. There might be some tools that you're not going to be able to use, but most of the stuff should work just fine. There's some like new improvements on the baking features and things like that where you might see a little bit of a difference. But in general, I would say that most of the stuff that I teach is compatible with like old versions of Substance. Go there. There. So as you can see, for this kind of weapon, this kind of retopology is quite tricky to do automatically, right? Look at that. Oh, that's another great example. That piece right there, oh, that point needs to go all the way down to the bone, so that when we see it from the side, we see like a little shelf, right? That's important. Like that. What type of game is it in your mind while optimizing this? Optimization for what type of game? Like this? This could be way more optimized for AAA. No. You cannot optimize this anymore. Like I think this is like as low as you should go in terms of optimization. I'm thinking about World of Warcraft right now. Like that's my benchmark for the quality that I'm like going for. And back in the day, I'm not sure if you still can do it, but there was this site called Wowhead. I used to go to that site quite a bit when I played World of Warcraft, and I remember in Wowhead you could see the 3D models, and you can actually see the like how complex they were. So this is like I would say close to the optimization, because right now we're only at almost 1,000 points. So I'm guessing this whole thing is gonna be like the whole handle is gonna be like 3,000 in for one half of the element, and then once we combine it with the rest of the element, we're gonna have 6,000 in total. So I think we're in a really good level of optimization for this one. Can we go lower? Definitely lower, but it's just gonna suffer quite a bit, and the silhouette's gonna look super boxy. Is it okay in low poly to appear shading some issues in EVS? Yes, some issues are totally like normal or common. We need to avoid them, and that's when you might need to add like a couple of extra bevels or triangulate some of the faces. You don't want to have like super extreme shadows. We'll take a look at this once we get into Maya. I'm pretty sure we're going to be able to get there during the stream. So give me 1 second. Just need to turn on my fan. Dolfo Ferra says, hey, I love your videos. Can you show us how to make retopology in hard surface? I had a lot of trouble. Like, this is hard surface, man. Like, I'm not sure what you would refer to as hard surface, but we just finished the dagger here on top. And that's how we would do, like, retopo for hard surface. Yeah, I'm not sure if there's any other specific questions about hard surface that you might have, but to me, that would be hard surface. Abe, I found a job as a 3D artist in a 3D printing company. Will that experience later help me getting a job in gaming industry? Yes and no. It will help you in terms of the sculpting. Like if you're doing a lot of sculpting and fixing of the elements or building the pieces, right, the models, then yes, that's definitely going to help you. But if you want to get into gaming, you definitely need to learn this thing that I'm doing right now, which is retopology, right? Like you need to show that you can turn those like very nice high poly sculpts into into cool looking game ready models. I would say that's one of the first things that I look when I'm like looking for people to help me with some of the projects that we do here in the studio in terms of modeling. Is like, do you know the baking process? Do you know the low poly, high poly process? Because that's what we do every single day when working on the VR stuff. And for VR, I've mentioned this before, VR does need quite a bit of optimization to get the best of the elements. So if you don't know how to do bakes, if you don't know how to do retopology, learn that, because that's going to be one of the things that people in gaming studios definitely expect you to know. In Topogon, sometimes the normals of some quads get flipped randomly for me. Any of the it's just it's part of the retopology process. Like, it tries to find the most obvious sort of like flow, and yeah, it sometimes messes it up, but you can just very quickly flip it. Just select the face, and then there's this one right here, modify faces. Now where is it? There's an option, I don't remember where the option is. Here, reverse normals. So if you need to do that, you just reverse normals there with that button. Go here. Let's see. As a junior, this might be a good first step, right? Yes, definitely. Like, anything you can get at this point, again, with the state of the industry, any work that you can get, guys, is a good work. I was talking with one of my students a couple of weeks ago, and he asked me something similar, and I told him, hey, when I started, I was doing a lot of like architectural renders, product renders, commercial stuff, some very basic things. That are never going to be in my portfolio, but they paid the bills. They paid the bills that allow me to get some money, to keep investing in myself, to keep learning some skills. So I'm very thankful for all of those jobs that I was able to do that are not necessarily game related, right? But they were part of my learning process, of my journey. And that's the one thing that you guys need to understand. Everyone has a different journey. Your journey doesn't need to be exactly the same as everyone else's journey, and just because your journey is not the same as everyone else's journey doesn't mean that your journey is a bad journey. We just have different ways to get to the same result, or to a similar result. That's another thing. You don't necessarily need to get to the exact same result as everyone else. Remember, comparison is the thief of joy. Don't compare yourself to others. Compare yourself to yourself. Check how much you've progressed in the past couple of years, or in the past couple of months. And understand that, especially here with art, it's a process. It takes time. It takes time to understand all of the principles. It takes time to practice. It takes time to learn from your mistakes. All of those are things that people don't usually share or tell you about. There are ways to be more optimal in that journey. Yes, of course. There's ways to, I don't want to say speed run this, because that's not really something that you could potentially do. But there are ways to be more efficient about that. But you still need to do the work. Oh, that's a tricky corner right there. So those are the areas that are going to be definitely a little bit tricky. We might get some weird shadows. We're not going to know until we get into the baking process. Rigon Mod says, hey there, to be honest, I learned by mesh when I started modeling for fun. To keep learning, I continue to search how to progress by myself with topology, which is for us pretty difficult. Yeah. Yeah. How's my boys? It's getting better. I still have a little bit of a cough. Still taking some medicines. Had to go to the doctor last Sunday. I like last weekend was horrible. I couldn't sleep. I would wake up in the middle of the night like coughing and almost spitting a lung out. It's like, oh my god. It was like it's one of the worst coughs I've had in a while. I'm still not sure if it was just like a virus or like a bacteria or whatever. But yeah, I'm taking medicine now and getting better. Okay, this is interesting. Here, that's a big one. That's a very big like bump. So that one right there, I'm inclined to actually consider it for the for the silhouette, because that's a very, very big change in silhouette there. But I'm very quickly going to sort of like minimize it into a single square. So I'm doing like a 3-to-1 reduction right there. And that should make it more manageable. Because now at last we're outside of the loops right there, of the bell loops. And that means that since the bone is a little bit less intense, we can definitely simplify, right? So we're not gonna need as many polygons here, so we can start making some triangles to reduce the amount of polygons that are gonna go there's gonna start going up into the bone right here. Let's say real quick, before anything bad happens. Here, for instance, another little triangle, and then just start minimizing the amount of like loops that we have. There we go. Buenos días, Marcos L. Bienvenido al stream de nuestro viernes. And yes, for those of you that don't know, I do talk, or I do speak Spanish. I am from Mexico, so I am Mexican. I live in Mexico. So of course the Spanish is my language. Here's a trick. Like right now, for instance, here on the bone, I know that this like silhouette is very simple. So I'm just gonna go as quickly as I can and create my loops here. Like this. Like just like go with this very long lines. And once I have all of those long lines, of course what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add some edge loops, right? Here it's a little bit different. I need to go into edge mode and then go there and press middle mouse and drag. Go to the R, middle mouse and drag. There we go. And that's it. That's how we add a little edge loop right there. So that makes things go a lot faster because I just need to worry about that whole thing. You know what? Now that I think of this, it might be better to retopologize the skull separately. It's gonna be a little bit difficult to... man, that's fine. I'm just thinking that it might be a little bit difficult to retopologize this with the bone in the middle of things. Yeah, it should be fine. Do you make custom cages for this kind of objects when baking? No. Most of the time, I'll use the automatic cages. There's a new one inside of Substance that's an experimental cage that makes it really, really tight for the object. I think that's more than enough. The only time we're not made cages is with some hard surface objects that require very, very precise bakings or bakes. But more often than not, I will just like work with inside of Marmoset, for instance. We have some really cool tools to play with the offset of the cage, or just a specific vertices of the cage, and that's usually more than enough. There we go. So here I'm going for the border of the skull. And a lot of this information, again, all of those like dips and cracks and things like that, we can just go over them. So they're in a relatively hidden area of the character or of the weapon. So we can again capture all of that information on the normal map. The bakes. There. And that's also going to allow me to keep a relatively low poly count. This is where it gets tricky. There we go. Because of the angle of the camera. There we go. And now let's just plan ahead. So for instance, here, I know that most of this stuff is going to be pretty much square. I'm definitely going to separate the teeth, and I'm going to explain why in just a second. So all of this jaw right here, all of that detail on the jaw, as you can see, we can very quickly capture all of that information with that stuff right there. But if we want to go into the teeth, we're going to need to create loops for every single teeth, pretty much. And that's just going to be a pain, right? So these teeth are probably, like the easiest way to do the teeth is probably going to be do them separately. I don't know. What do you guys think? Should I show you how to do it, like everything as a single mesh, like watertight? What is the name of the program? It's just for Retopo. Diana, yes, this program is called Topogun, and it's a specialized program just for retopology. It's really good. I love it. I've been using it for a long time now, and it's really freaking good. It was very famous back when I started, and then the developer stopped like supporting it. They just like didn't add any new features. People were still using Topogun version 2, which was the previous one. And a couple of years ago, he came back and was like, "Hey, there we go, Topogun 3." It's like, "Oh, awesome!" Because it's really freaking good. Do it as it will be done in a studio, I guess. The thing is, in the studio they can separate them. I usually do that separate. It's fine. Yeah, separate it is fine. Yeah, I'm gonna do that separate. I'm gonna explain why. The reason why I'm gonna do it separate is because it's gonna give us lower poly count. If I do it like together, I'm just gonna have way too many triangles, and it's gonna be a little bit too difficult to properly UB and everything. So in this case, yeah, I think teeth are gonna be done separately. So here's let me see if it works. I'm gonna go back to ZBrush, and here what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab the teeth, which should still have their own poly groups, or we can just do a quick auto groups here. Let's grab the teeth. Remember, this is the decimated version. There we go. Invert, Control W. And then I'm gonna do split hidden. There we go. So this is, I need to rename this. So this one I'm gonna rename to teeth. Very important that we rename things properly, otherwise the book might freak out. And this one was named dagger handle, just like that. There we go. We export again. Well, let's go to Topogun and save real quick. And we're gonna C plugin, export this again as the gold blade high. Let's say yes. Let's wait for this to process. Do you set scratch disk for 10 files in every software? Not every software, but yeah, most of the time I do have a separate hard drive where I have like all of the like cache and stuff like that. Let's say file and reload reference mesh. And if things work properly, there we go. We should have the teeth now over here. So we can turn off the teeth, but we just need to bring this down. There we go. Yeah, as you can see, and this is this one right here goes into blade. That's it. So now we can focus just on this part of the element. Now I do want to have a little bit more resolution on the teeth area, because otherwise it looks a little bit too bumpy. So this is where maybe adding another edge loop here might be helpful. And then once I have this this extra edge loop, I'm gonna hide the little triangle right there. What I can do is I can just add a little triangle right there. So that triangle allows me to capture the curvature, a little bit nicer. You know what I mean? So it just makes it a little bit more bumpy there, especially here on the front. For instance, here I would like to have another point like that. Then of course this one's gonna go back, and we can start like triangulating back again here on the back, so that we don't incorporate too many like points. So it's just like a little bit of a trick to make it seem like there's a little bit more geometry on the front, and that's it. So the front's gonna look a little bit more complex, not too much, unfortunately. It's gonna look a little bit more complex. You can see how far away the silhouette is right there. Definitely want to push some of this, guys, because otherwise the teeth are gonna look a little bit like they're not gonna look as if they are actually on top of the stuff. Here on the inside, we really don't need too much information, so we can also like simplify quite heavily. There we go. There we go, and that's it.
Let's see. Hi, Abe. Thanks for useful material as always. I have a question. I've seen several times that meshes with topology almost all quads, but in some areas there's like a bunch of quads triangulated. Yeah, quads and triangles are not bad, as I've mentioned before. You should not be scared of triangles. Triangles are fine, but you need to know where to place them. So if the question is, are triangles fine? Yes, they're fine. If the question is, where should I place the triangles? The answer is, it depends, right? As with most stuff here in the 3D world, it really depends. Sometimes it's very easy to know where to have the triangles. Sometimes it's a little bit more complex to figure out. But the answer is, it depends. A general rule of thumb that you want to follow is have triangles that are going to help you define the silhouette of your element. So if that triangle helps you have a sharper, cleaner silhouette, especially in game assets, then it's good. Another rule of thumb is don't have triangles in areas of high deformation. So you're not going to have triangles usually near the eyes or near the mouth. That's going to be very tricky. If an object's not going to deform, like this one right here, right? It's just a weapon that the character is going to be holding all the time, then you can pretty much have everything be triangles and you're not going to have any issue whatsoever. But from a readability point of view, and especially for UVs, right, to get quick UV maps and UV elements, it's a good idea to try to keep the amount of triangles as low as possible. Areas that are not going to be seen as much, for instance, all of this parts right there, triangle is fine. Doesn't matter too much. But it's always about the silhouette of the element, right? That's one of the most important things that you should follow. And this is why I love Topogon, because as you can see, for instance, here in this like complex area with a little like bone elements and bone areas, I can just focus on capturing the silhouette of the element without without worrying too much about the topology. It's just silhouette. But I don't care if I have triangles and quads and whatever. I just care about the capturing the silhouette, the volume. That makes sense? Will we have to triangulate the mesh before exporting to game engine? Yes, more often than not, you do triangulate. If you don't triangulate or you forget to triangulate the engine at render time, it's always going to triangulate it. So it's not that much of an issue. The reason why they tell you you need to triangulate the mesh before the game engine is because sometimes when the game engine triangulates your mesh, it will triangulate it wrong. So it will add the triangle in a different direction that what you intended. So by pre-triangulating, you have a little bit more control over where things are going to be like moving. And you avoid any weird like shading. Again, it really depends on the project. It really depends on the what's the word on the process that we're doing. But yeah, like triangulation is gonna happen regardless, and it is important to keep it in mind. I'm keeping my triangle count here visible. So right now we're at almost 1,300 triangles for this whole thing, which again I think is fine. Let's see if we can get it close to 2K, at most 3K for the whole skull and horns. That way we keep things relatively simple. Again, here the most important thing is silhouette, so I'm going to make sure to push some of these guys so they're really close to the final silhouette of the element. Is there any method behind the face density on the Retopo mesh, or it kind of... No, there is a method. So right now, as you can see, these areas are more complex, so they require a little bit more density. Areas that are not as complex, they can be a lot lower density. So it's all about like how much detail the model has, right? So I mean, it is a little bit vibe based, but it's more like a practice. Like I've done this so many times that I already know like roughly how many faces I'm gonna need. But it definitely has to do with a level of detail, right? So if you know that your object has a lot of detail, you definitely want to push the amount of poly count or the size of the faces a little bit smaller. Areas with higher detail, like faces, tend to need more of this stuff. Hey, we got a donation here from Cloud Guy. It says, I had to switch from Topogon to Quad Maker because of the see-through bug Topogon has. Makes it impossible to retopo fingers. Any idea if there's a fix? I know some people have talked about like the X-ray stuff over here, like display options, but I haven't seen it, to be honest. I haven't tried Quad Maker. Is that a Cloud Guy? Is that a plugin for like Maya or Blender?
But yeah, I know what you mean. It can be a little bit obnoxious. That's why I don't like working with symmetry inside of Topogun here, for instance. I prefer to do just one side so that I don't have to deal with that like little bug. But with fingers, I use the tubes tool. The tubes tool is really good for fingers, I feel. Let's go here. For instance, here, see how a triangle right there is going to be way more helpful than no triangle. So those triangles right here, even though they're on the center line, they're fine because they're going to allow me to just quickly climb into this like eyebrow section and capture all of those like intricate planes that I sculpted before. Go. So it's a lot easier to just cover this whole area if we have a couple of triangles to help us with the geometry. Because I know all of this is going to be eventually unfolded just flatly. How about 3D Code Retopo is really good on the course, on the hand painted course for the Undead Pirate. We use 3D Code Retopo because we use 3D Code for painting as well. So I wanted to include the Retopo tools as well. It's very similar to Topogun, I would say. It's really good as well. And one thing that I love about 3D Code is that they have this pricing model where you have the rent to own option. So you can start paying, and it's a very affordable price. It's like $30 or 30 euros or something like that. And after like 10, I think it's like 14 months or something like that, like after a year or so, you own it. So that's great. So for instance, here we have a lot of detail, a lot of in and outs thingies, but I'm not going to capture that. I'm just going to go straight across. Because I know we have the blade like showing through that, so all of that's going to be painted in eventually. And we're going to save poly count, right there. So one of the secrets here is to go to the high point. Even though that face looks a little bit weird, eventually with shadows and things like that, we can capture it. If we want to capture it, I mean, that's fine. It's just gonna be more polygons, and we do gotta be mindful about that. Because again, if we bring the blade in, you're gonna see that the blade, there's gonna be an overlap right there. So that should be more than enough for actually. Oh man, this is one of those parts where you might want to combine both the blade and the skull as well, so that we can quickly sort of like stitch that up. Yeah, I'm gonna do that. So you can actually see we have a bunch of like geometry that we're not using on the blade. We'll do that after we finish the basic construction here on the skull. Let's see. Quadmaker is actually great for people on a tight budget. It's a Blender add-on, makes Retopo similar to So yeah, Quadmaker, Retopo Flow, all of those guys can be good options. I'm actually going to delete some of these vertices, because as I've mentioned, we're gonna combine this with the blade. For a better bake as well. And we're finally getting into the horns here. Oh, horns are gonna be a little bit tricky. And I did this, I mean, it's not that I did it on purpose, but I wanted to make this very cool looking weapon. So I knew that having like intense geometry changes was gonna make it a little bit tricky for the retopology process. But it's one of those things that, especially like I really want to have this as a portfolio piece. So I know that I need to spend the extra work there, right? So it's kind of like expected to have like complex shapes here. There we go. So I'm just gonna follow this line right here, which again, as I've mentioned, we are gonna have to bring in the. So I'm gonna delete these vertices, because we're gonna have to bring in the blade as part of the whole thing before we properly capture all of this stuff. This hole is not deep enough, that one right there. So I can just like skip it and just bake everything down. That should save us a couple of points there as well in terms of topology. Let's see, is teaching on YouTube profitable? No. On YouTube, no. To be honest, no. Like the amount of money that we make from YouTube is it's not bad money, but it's not like I could not live with just like the ad revenue. Like, no, if you want to make good money, you can look this up. Like, the numbers are online for how much you make per like x thousand views or whatever. You need to have like massive views, and this niche that we are in, like 3D, even though we have a big community and we always say that it's very competitive because a lot of people want to make it or do it, it's still relatively small compared to what others do. Like, I see the views. My girl, my little kid, she likes watching like kids videos. There's this very famous girl, her name's Nastia, and she's got this like I don't know, just like a blog where she like plays with friends and does like just like, you know, kid stuff, and she's got like millions of views, the Nastia girl, like millions, and she makes like millions of revenue. It's just crazy, right? You can look at Mr. Beast, of course. You can look at other like content creators, and you need like millions and millions of like constant views in everything, like shorts and like full videos to really make a good living, right? No, like the reason why this project can keep going, and of course, as I've always mentioned, is thanks to your support, guys. But it's the courses, right? Like, the courses are one of the main fuel of the project. There we go. So let's see. Huion Canvas Pro 24 4K, a good one, or which one do you use? I have the Huion Canvas Pro 19. I think 4K or 24 is a little bit too big. I had the 22 for a while, and it was fun. It was not the Pro version, so it was not like full HD. It was full HD rather. It was not 4K. I'm not sure. Like 24, like my desk is relatively big, and I still feel like this 19 one that I'm using can be a little bit big sometimes. So it really depends on the space that you have. 24K feels like a little bit too much, especially for 3D art. Like, maybe for illustration, like it's worth it. But for 3D stuff, I do think like it might be a little bit too much, to be honest. Have you tried Marmoset's texturing? Recon, it's really it's really good. I'm not sure. The thing is, Substance Painter has been doing this for like more than 10 years, right? I remember I was one of the first adopters of Substance Painter when I was in school. I remember my teachers being like, "Oh, you really want to try Substance Painter?" Because at the time everyone was using Mari, and since I had like an inclination for games, I saw the potential of Substance Painter, and I used it, and my teachers were like surprised with the results, like, "Oh, that looks actually quite cool." I love Marmoset. Like, we've done collaborations with them. I freaking love them. It's just that Substance is a little bit ahead in terms of texturing. However, if you only want to like have one software, to just pay for it once, and you don't want to be paying a subscription, you can do everything with Marmoset. Everything. So definitely worth it. I just hate Adobe. I mean, I cannot say I hate them, because I've done so many, like I've earned so much money from using their products, right, and paying for my licenses, so I don't feel like betrayed by them. But I do understand the sentiment of, oh, I don't want to be paying for my softwares like constantly, right? Like I can see why that can be a little bit annoying. And I've said this before, if there ever comes a time, like, I don't know, like 20, 30 years in the future, where I cannot afford to pay for my licenses, I'll go open source in everything. You can pretty much do it. But here's the thing, like, a lot of people, they're and I'm not calling you out, my friend. Like, it's not I'm not directing this comment to you, but a lot of people are very hypercritical. They're like, oh, I don't want to pay for licenses, but I do want the cool tools that they have, and I'm going to pirate the software. So it's like, nah, like, if you don't want to pay for licenses, I respect that. But then you're going to have to deal with whatever it is you're using as your alternative software, right? And you got to understand that there's going to be certain tools that you're not going to have access to. So if you're willing to put in the time to learn the other tools and to use them in your workflow, sure, that's fine. Like, go for that. But people are like, oh, I hate this or X, Y, or Z software, but I do want to use the tool that they have because it's really good. It's like, wow. Well, then you don't be a hypocritical and pay for it. It's not about paying them a pin. It's more that Adobe is very greedy, and even my student cloud sub, they want to increase my monthly price to double next month. Yeah, no, I understand. I do feel like there's a level of what's the word? Comfortableness, like how comfortable you want to be with the tools. Like if there comes a point where the price is way too much to pay and it's the return of investment of that tool is not there for you, sure, change. And that's how you're gonna demonstrate. Like once they start seeing, like once big companies start seeing like the numbers dwindle and they're like, oh man, we're losing like subscribers like very, very intensely, that's when they're gonna change their practices. As long as people are still paying for it, like we're not giving them any reason to modify their pricing structures or their behaviors, right? For me, at this point, I'm still in a position where even if the price goes up, I find the return of investment quite good. But I can understand that it might not be that case for everyone. And in that case, as I mentioned, I do recommend trying some open source software because you can pretty much do everything with open source softwares nowadays. Like, have you seen the new Affinity stuff for like Photoshop and Illustrator type of things? Like, I've tried it. I actually have it installed here, and it's good. Like, it's really good. I don't find it to be complete to what I normally do in my workflow, so I'm not doing the full switch just yet. But if things go like really crazy with one of the softwares, like making that changes, it's not bad. Because remember, most of the stuff that we do, it can be translated to anything. So right now, again, I love ZBrush. I love it. It's one of my favorite softwares, and I'm not. It's not super uncomfortable for me to be paying the amount of money that they require every month. But if there ever comes a point where like, oh, this is getting a little bit too pricey, I'll just switch to Blender or I'll switch to Nomad and just pay it one time and that's it. But I know and I understand that, hey, look, I'm going to have to adapt some workflows and there's going to be certain things that I'm not going to be able to do as easily as I would if I had ZBrush. Right? Does that sound fair? Hopefully that doesn't sound too bad. Musical Bug says, please review the topology tool in Houdini modeler plugin. I heard it's pretty similar to Typical. I don't know how to use Houdini. Like, that's one of the softwares that I've never learned. I think I definitely need to learn it at some point, but I have not learned it yet. So, 1 second, guys. Here, let me just get my music back. There we go. Does the speed count in the production? Is it useful to practice to achieve faster results, or you advise? No, the speed is definitely important, but speed should not sacrifice quality, right? So if you're really, really fast, but your stuff looks like shit, then that's not useful. If your stuff looks good and you're efficient, then that's really good. I've heard this changes based on what production you're in. Like there are certain studios where they work at really high speeds, like Blizzard. I know Blizzard tends to be really, really fast in their productions. Like I've heard sometimes that you don't even have a time to do like high polys, so you just do the low poly of your weapon and you paint everything in, for instance. I haven't experienced it. I haven't worked at Blizzard yet. Maybe in the future, that'll be great. But it depends on the studio, right? Like, and I heard like some animation studios where they focus on doing like, let's say, 5 seconds of animation per week, and some people think that that's way too much. And other animation studios, they want you to do like, I don't know, like just 3 seconds of animation per week. So it really depends. Best thing you can do, research how they're doing that in the studio that you want to work at. And if you see that that's a studio of a high speed, high pace studio, then you do need to get faster. If it's a more chill studio, chill speed, man, you can probably afford to focus a bit more on quality. Again, it really depends. You could do a Learn Houdini Together stream at some point. I've thought about that, but I don't know. I don't know. When I learn, I'm a very weird, like I've developed a very weird technique for learning where I just go crazy and break the program as much as I can to just learn the tools that I want. So I'm not sure if that's a very efficient way of teaching stuff. Very good for me when I'm learning my own stuff, but again, it's a system that I've developed that works for me. I'm not sure if it would work for everyone. This is a tricky one. For instance, here we definitely need a triangle. It's a very thin area there for the... It's called the fulcrum. Nose. That should work. Alan says, I don't want to work in any big studio. I just want to live in a first world country like the Netherlands. Yeah, I mean... One thing that I say to people is... We always think that the grass is greener on the other side, and the best thing you can do is find something where you're happy, find something where you're comfortable, find something where you're valued. It's very, very important. Because I've had offers to work on places, and when I get into like the interview process, the vibe just feels off. It's like, oh, I don't feel like I'm gonna be comfortable here. Like it feels very cutthroaty, right? Like people are just gonna expect you to work like a cog in a machine for like long periods of time. It's like I'd rather have a job or a situation where I'm happy and comfortable, even if it means making a little bit less money, right? And you can think about this, like if they ask you to work on a project or on a product, like we've had this quite a bit here in the channel. Like I've been reached by several products and several services when they're like, hey, we want to pay you big chunks of money for you to what's the word? To showcase us or showcase our product in your channel, right? Like make a review or try to sell the product, and we'll give you one of the products for free. It's like, I'm not too sure about your product, man. So even though it's a lot of money, I don't want to like showcase or sell something or what's the word, promote something that I don't believe in. Right? I've mentioned this before, and I'm gonna stay true to that. I'm not gonna. There was this very famous. If you guys are in Mexico, there was this very famous controversy a couple of weeks ago, like a month or two ago. And it was a funny one because it's one of those things that you can learn as a lesson. It's like, oh, I do not want to be that guy. I don't want to make that mistake. So here in Mexico, we have our own stuff with the government, and probably this happens in every single country, right? But the government's trying to find ways to get more money out of the citizens, right? Like with taxes. And one of the ways they found, or they were like trying to tax, and they're actually going to do it. They're going to move forward with that, but they want to tax electrolytes, which is a specific type of beverage here that we have in Mexico for when you're sick, right? Like when you're sick, when you have like diarrhea or something, you're dehydrated, you go and buy yourself, not a Gatorade. Gatorade is just like sports drink. It's an actual medical like drink that you can use to get your electrolytes back in balance and get better quicker. So apparently, again, this is all, it's not being confirmed, but there's a lot of like heavy evidence. Apparently, they reached out to a lot of doctor influencers and doctor content creators on TikTok and Instagram, and they offered them, I think it was like $2,500, right? Like $2,500 to make a campaign against this very famous brand of electrolytes that we have here in Mexico, and showcase why they're not as good as they might think they are, because they're very high on sugar and high on the calories, right? And when and a lot of like very famous doctors did that. They went ahead and they started like creating content saying, oh, this guy's right here, electrolyte, they might not be as good as you think, and they might be more damaging than what you might think about. And then a couple of days later, they figured out, or they found out, that this was actually a campaign, and again, that it was like there was no substance behind their critiques of the product. And the reputation of a lot of these doctors like went down hard. Like people stopped following them, and the comment sections were like really aggressive towards them, because it definitely felt like they sold out, and they were promoting something that they were not like 100% sure about, right? So I took that as a lesson. Like, hey, like we've worked so hard to have this very cool community here, this very cool YouTube channel. So I'm not going to do collaborations, or I'm not going to do any sort of like sponsorship for things I don't believe in. Like, I'll rather ask you guys for support if we ever need it than fall for that. I think reputation, and I know it seems very I don't know, philosophical or whatever, but it was like, I feel honor and reputation is really important. So I try to stay very, very true to myself, and be very honest about what I think. I think it's important. Let's see. The problem is not where you live, it's how much money you got. If you're a billionaire, everywhere is heaven on earth. Yeah, that also makes sense. It'd be cool to have passive income and do 3D just for fun. Yeah, it would be definitely fun. But here's the thing. This is something that I heard about Gary V, which I like his stuff, and I follow him quite a bit. There's no such thing as passive income, right? Like there's no such thing. Like, even if you think there's passive income, like, I don't know, like owning an Airbnb or selling a product, right? Like whatever, you still need to put in the time to make sure that whatever your passive income is working the way you intended to. So you still need to dedicate time to, like, I remember a couple of guys doing, again, like TikToks about owning vending machines, right? Like, oh yeah, just place a vending machine in an important part of your city, and then it's passive income because you don't do anything and the machine sells all the product for you. Yeah, but you still need to go and check the machine. You still need to go and change the coins. You need to go and add more product, right? You still need to buy the product, and like, it's still work. So there's really no such thing as really passive income, right? Like there's always some amount of work that has to do with it. Luis Mole Bonobo says, hello, didn't know you were also on Twitch. For me, Adobe is cool because of the community, tutorial, everything else, UI, and how easy it is, something to make without having to look 20 YouTube tutorials on how to do something. Affinity is way more intuitive. Yeah. Again, there's always plus and cons to everything, right? Like for instance, Blender. They say, oh, Blender is free. Yeah, it's free, and I like it. I use it. Nothing against Blender. But you do need plugins every now and then. Some of them are free, some of them are not. And it was funny, I made a video about this a couple of months ago. It's like, oh, Blender is free, but is it free? It's like League of Legends. They tell you it's free, but it's not free because you need to buy plugins. And funnily enough, a very common thing when I mention plugins is like, oh, but you don't need them. Sure, I understand. And then some other comments were, oh, but they don't need to be expensive, and a little pirate flag. Oh, so now we're going into pirating, right? So again, it feels a little bit hypocritical from some Blender users. Not calling anyone out. I'm just saying that some people say like, oh, Blender is free, and if it's not free, I'm gonna make it free because I'm gonna get the plugins for free one way or another. Like, well, that talks a lot about the type of like the type of your type of like values and what you value as a creator, rather than the actual software itself. Because if you tell me, oh, I like Blender and I'm gonna pay and support the plugins that I use, that's awesome. That's great. Go for it. If you tell me, oh, I like Blender, it's free, and I'm gonna get everything for free. I'm gonna download every single model for free. I'm gonna download every single like plugin for free. You might not be a person that I want to work with. Yeah, that's just my personal opinion about that way of handling things, right? And brands, clients, studios will think the same about you. Like if they see, hey, this guy is really good, but he's very open about piracy, and he's very open about getting his way any way he can. That's a message. That's a message you're sending the world. And I would just encourage you to check if that's the right message that you want to send to people. Let's see. I can't wait to see the post bake of this model. I've been struggling with baking this stuff. Yeah, well, I mean, we're still in a good track, so I think we're gonna be able to get there, Tony. So we'll hopefully get that in like the next hour or so. I'm gonna make this. Let's do this. If you guys keep chatting and if you guys keep supporting here, if you're liking, sharing, subscribing, I'll just keep going until we finalize UVs and bakes for this thing. We'll make this into a little bit of a little master class here on just like finishing this asset from Retopology all the way to the end. There you go, Kato and Draper. Yeah, I'll just keep going. I don't have any meetings after this, so I can just like focus on finishing this asset. I won't do the hand painted on stream. Like that's the promise that I made myself yesterday. It's like I really enjoy this weapon, and when I have my own time, I just want to enjoy the hand painted process. I just want to do it for myself. And I'm sorry if it feels a little bit selfish to do that, but I feel like I owe it to myself as well. So hopefully you guys understand that too. But I will share the whole like baking and and Retopology UV process. Okay, is that in? You're in? Let's go. What's my view on piracy, by the way? Oh man, that's a tricky question, man. Because I've suffered from that, right? Like as a content creator, I've seen my courses on famous like piracies, like sites. Like people say like, hey, they're pirating your software, man. Like unfortunately, I know it cannot be avoided. I understand that. Do I support it? Of course not. Like I would love for people to pay for the course if they want to enjoy it, right? But I understand, and I'm not gonna go against like anyone that like pirates the stuff, unless it's like a very blatantly like pirating and sharing and stuff like that. Like if it's professional use, and you really cannot afford it, like you really cannot pay for it, I understand. And I hope you get like good information from the course if you decide to do it. I hope you can support the project in some way. Like hopefully you guys understand that not everyone is like a vile, evil corporation trying to nickel and dime everyone, right? Like I'm not trying to like destroy the economy with my courses or anything, right? So if you can support somewhere, somehow in the future, you know, like a donation, sharing the stuff, sharing the process, liking the posts, go for it. Like I really appreciate it. I understand piracy is not something that can be avoided. And hopefully you do find the value on it and eventually again like support it somehow. I would say that's like pretty much my view. Darako, thank you for the sub, man. Thank you, sir, for the sub, and thanks for being part of this amazing community. I think I've seen you. Are you the one that I think you are? Because I think I've seen your username before in some of the other streams, and I think you are one of my old students. Yeah, there you go. There you go. Thanks, my friend. Thanks for the support. Is it stressful working in the utility industry? It's stressful working in any industry, man. I mentioned this quite a bit. We tend to be very... I think we tend to play the victim a little bit too much and be like, oh, our industry sucks and there's no job for like junior level artists and I'm having a hard time like landing an opportunity. Have you seen the current market for every single other industry out there? Doctors getting paid pennies for their expertise. Agriculture's getting paid pennies for their crops, right? Like graphic designers, architects, lawyers not being able... Like, it's a mess everywhere, man. It's a stressful everywhere. So, yeah, I understand that it is stressful for our industry as well, and I'm not saying that we should not, like ask and fight for, like, proper rights and proper, like, you know, salaries and all that stuff, but it's a mess everywhere. My wife, she's a psychologist, and she has like she struggles sometimes. My brothers, they are salespeople. They struggle sometimes. Like it's a mess everywhere. So it's about what mess do you want to be a part of? Do you want to be a part of this mess? Because I know some people say like, oh, you should just do programming. Programmers have having a hard time. And then people say, oh, you should just be like a plumber or like an electrician. They're having a hard time as well. You should do real estate. Real estate is a mess as well. So every single place, it's hard to find a job right now. Every single place is difficult. And I think it's been difficult every single time. Like I know we'd like to think about the old times when our parents could like afford a house and things like that. Yeah, but every single generation, there's always hardships, right? I saw this very interesting article a couple of months ago where it said that there has been a shift in terms of the type of things that we can afford. Like our parents affording or buying like a TV, like a big TV for their living room, that was complicated, right? Like they had to save for that, and it was definitely a symbol of like status. Nowadays, if you want to buy like a 50-inch plasma TV, or well, not plasma, they're not plasma anymore, right? Like a flat screen TV for your room, you can get it relatively cheap. Like Black Friday is coming, and you can get it like relatively cheap for yourself. But buying a house now, it's very expensive. Buying a house back then was a lot cheaper. So things change. Things change, and we need to adapt, and we need to make sacrifices. I think that's the very important thing that people have forgotten about. We want everything to be super simple, and I'm not saying we should not fight again for our rights and for evil corporations to take a look at what really makes their profits, right? Like and that's fine. But at the same time, we tend to be very we want very comfortable things. We want very, very comfortable things, and we want to be able to get like everything easily. That's not the way the world works. I will not be able to watch this live stream due to I Perceive in Game Jam. Yeah, the live stream will be available afterwards, my friend. What do you think about the government taxing violence video games? Oh, they're doing that in Mexico. It's a stupid thing. Video games do not make you violent. And there's research about that, like scientific research. They do make you angry when you're playing it. I was I was playing Silksong. I was very obsessed with that game like the past couple of weeks. It's my goatee, definitely. I'm from Mexico, by the way. But I was playing Silksong this past month. And there was this boss, Carmelita. Oh, man. Screw Carmelita, man. Like, that was a tough boss. Like, a really, really tough boss. It took me like 3 days to get through it. Like, playing like a couple of hours or like a couple of like tries every day. It was very fun because it was like just like so focused trying to beat the freaking boss. And they will die, and you see the animation, right? Like the dying animation. And my kid would come and be like, "Oh, you died again?" And I was like, "Yes, I died again. Thank you. I don't need that reminder. Thank you." And then she would be playing in her room, and she would hear the boss like killing me again, and she's like, "Oh, you died again?" It's like, "Yes, I died again," and I would get really, really angry. Like I would rage quit every now and then. It's like, "Oh man, that's it. I cannot do this anymore," and I would just like turn the console off. I'm not the guy that would throw the controllers to the screen, but I understand why games can make you angry when they're very stressful. But they don't make you violent, right? Like I would never have the idea of like, oh, I need to kill someone or I need to hurt someone. It's like, no, that's bullshit. So governments taxing that kind of stuff, it's just bullshit. Cryptic Visionary, what's up, my friend? Yeah, I'm getting better. Still got a little bit of a little bit of cough here and there. Definitely getting better. And almost done with this freaking horn here. Just the last little bit here. And then we're just gonna combine this with the blade and the teeth. We need to do the teeth. Hate the teeth. Teeth are one of those things that I hate retopologizing. They're not difficult, it's just tedious. There's so many of them. You can try series measure, but it's not going to give you the best result. For this teeth, we do want them to be a little bit sharper, so. There we go. Do we have any more questions? Oh boy, Hollow brought out the worst person to me. I'm not even bothering to try Silksong. I'm now playing Hollow Knight. I was playing it yesterday. And it's definitely a little bit, I don't want to say easier, but slower paced. Like Silksong was... Wow, so fast. Like I remember I beat the Mantis Lords in Hollow Knight like a couple of months ago when I was trying to play it again. And I struggled with it. I was like, oh man, this is difficult. Oh, let me get into like really focus and get into the rhythm of the fight. And then I stopped playing Hollow Knight and I decided to just jump straight into Silksong. Beat Silksong, and then I went back to Hollow Knight and I beat those freaking like motherfuckers like in like in one try or two tries. Like just like the first one I messed up, and then the second one it was like very easy. Because I definitely feel like Silksong is a really, really fast game. Like you need to lock in and just be really focused for like a long time for the fights. And they're very fast fights. There's a lot of movement, a lot of like shit going on. So yeah, but it's fun. I enjoyed it. Haven't enjoyed the game in a while like that. The last one I enjoyed was Donkey Kong Bonanza with my kid. Another very, very fun game. But unfortunately, I don't think it's gonna win Game of the Year. It's definitely gonna win. Like we're gonna do that next week, by the way, guys. Like I think the nominees for Game of the Award, like Game Awards, is gonna be next week. So next stream, I'm gonna vote online or live for my favorite ones, and we're gonna discuss which ones we think are the best in the different categories. That's gonna be a fun stream for next week. David Dolce Mascolo says, what happened to the portfolio reviews BODs? I know you have a short channel with each review, but I miss watching the whole thing when I miss live. Yeah, I know. The reason why we decided to switch the portfolio reviews is to give every portfolio a little bit more of an opportunity to for people to share them with their friends and for them to get a little bit more visibility, because unfortunately, even though it was very fun to have like the full like portfolio review, most people would just like watch like the first couple of minutes and then not watch anything else. So I know there's some like you, David, that would watch the whole thing, but we're trying to give everyone a fair shot. So that's why we decided to do that little switch right there. Do people use character creator in pipeline? Yes, they do. I don't like it. It's not that I don't like it. I've never used it, to be honest. I like doing the whole thing, to be honest. Like I like having control of the whole pipeline. I know it's a little bit more efficient to do it with character creator. But yeah, it can be used for the whole pipeline. I know some studios that do that, so it's not bad. It's not a bad tool. The Accurate rig that they have is really good. I use that one quite a bit for posing. ¿Puedo saber en qué horarios tienes para los streams? Yeah, we always start the streams at 9 a.m. Mexico time. I actually need to update the Twitch banner because it had a different time. It was like 11 a.m. No, we now do them at 9 a.m. Mexico time every Friday. Every Friday we do. Sometimes we do like extra streams on the weekends, like on Sundays, usually. But those are just like surprise streams. Like they're not planned ahead. I have not played Alien Isolation, and I've heard it's a good one. Okay, let's say real quick. Oh, there we go. That was a good one. That was long. Now just the teeth. Game of the year for me, it's gonna be Silksong, because I just enjoyed it too much. I played Expedition 33, but it did lose me a little bit in the middle game. I haven't finished it, to be honest. I've heard it's good as well. Like the ending and the story. I love the visuals. Like I have one of the Expedition 33 as wallpapers. I love the visuals, but I do feel like it was gonna need this one. I did feel it was a little bit slow in some parts. Okay, so let's go with the teeth now. This one is be a relatively simple one. So what I want here is, as you can see, the teeth go inside the mandible a little bit. So I'm gonna have to go right around here. And do 1, 2. And they're gonna be like triangles, of course, as we get towards the point here. Usually for teeth, I like to go with like 8 sides. 6 or 8 sides. I find like that's a good number to have enough roundness for the teeth. What's that? It's like 7? That's fine. And I do want to try to keep them like if they're like close together, I'll jump from one teeth to the other. But I usually prefer to keep them separate. Even if the bake is gonna make a little bit of ambient occlusion to each other on the teeth themselves, I do want to keep them as separate meshes. Trying to be very careful here to not combine them. That's it. That's the teeth right there. And again, I'm just gonna check the dagger handle to make sure that it goes like enough in, right? Like it's going like into the element, so that it blends. Eventually, we're gonna blend that with the rest of the element. So same thing here. So 1, 2, 3. There we go. Very careful here not to combine it with the other teeth. Like that. The hell did I join there? Ah, see that? That's the joint that I don't want there. So it's from that to this one. There we go. Let's see. I spend the morning doing Quadra, but honestly, I'm loving Siri Measure with C-Guides and Polypen. Yeah, it's good. Like Siri Measure and C-Guides, it's really good, but it's usually for a little bit of a higher poly count. For this one, I'm trying to go really, really low poly. That's why I need to do this a little bit more manually. MS. Let's see. Will you ever do a tutorial where you import a full character with a rig and animation into Unreal Engine 5? Oof, I need to do the rig and animation instead of the tutorial, so maybe? I mean, we have the hand-painted course. That's a full character pipeline, so that might be one of the... But yeah, like, I'm thinking about something like that, like, for the female character course that I want to do. Like, maybe we'll get it all the way into Unreal. What is more useful for Retopology, the Quattro option in Autodesk Maya or this program? Oh, this program by far. Yeah, like Topogun, man, it's just so good. It's way faster. I mean, this thing that I'm doing right now, you could totally do it with Quadro, to be honest. But there are other tools that this software has, Topogun, that Quadro does not have, like the tubes tool for arms and for legs. So good. There. Getting a little bit hungry. There we go. Yeah, so as you can see, the reason why this is not annoying, but just a little bit slower is because we need to do that exact same thing 6 or 7 times, right? Oh yeah, chilaquiles would be good. But I had pizza yesterday, so it'll be overkill to have chilaquiles now. Go there. Maybe I'll get some quesadillas. There. Oh. What do you guys normally have for breakfast? The instances of a character are sometimes hard in Topogun, but yeah, insanely good software. Yeah, it's... I mean, they're hard any software, to be honest. Any Retopology software, like the insights of characters are always tricky. There we go. Fries. Fries like potato fries? Like French fries? Coffee? Yeah, coffee. Coffee's always good. This one I'm gonna give a little bit more curvature. Because they're a little bit bigger. Go. There we go. There we go. Almost done, almost done. There we go. And we're gonna go down here. There. And yeah, that's fine. On the inside, it's fine. We just keep this long teeth right there. Awesome. How many teeth are we missing? 2 more teeth. Okay. Hey, Abe, can you tell us about the advantages of Topogun versus Quadro? I find it's faster, first of all, so it's more responsive. So right now I'm working with the decimated version of the element, and as you can see, we have a very good response in terms of the viewport, so it doesn't get as laggy as what Maya does. It has a couple of other tools. I'm not using them right now as much as I maybe should, like the circles tools and the tubes tools and things like that. But it has extra tools that are really easy to use for modular areas like arms and legs and limbs and tails and things like that. And I just like the fact that I don't need to be drawing the quads. So as I start drawing my points, it automatically creates the triangles and the quads. In Maya, you need to start creating the points and then decide if it's going to be a quad or not. So it does get a little bit more, I don't want to say annoying, but it's just a little bit extra work. And in here, I can just like focus entirely in the creation of the topology without having to worry too much about where I'm placing the edges, right? Like the edges and the faces, they sort of like create themselves automatically as I start adding them. So that's why I personally like Tupogon a little bit more than Maya's tool. There you go. The mesh and the retopo aren't enough to reserve the silhouette on tip of tooth. Won't be. No, it's fine. It's fine. It's it's a pointy bit. Yeah, I understand what you mean. Like the fact that the silhouette's not as much, but it's gonna work just fine. You're gonna see that once we get into the bake. Again, especially for this low poly object and the fact that the teeth are so small in screen space, right? All of this information is gonna bake just fine. So I'm gonna finish the teeth, guys, and I'm gonna go quickly to get a little bit more water. It's gonna be like 2 or 3 minutes. Just be patient, okay? I'll be back. I promise we're gonna finish this stream. We're gonna do the bakes and the UVs. UVs are gonna be very easy. For now, especially this is the big advantage of good retopology. Like if you have good retopology, your UV process becomes so much easier. There to there. There we go. So that's it. Let's take a look at everything right now. Of course, we're missing the let's save. Of course, we're gonna join the this two right here. Okay. So I'll be right back, guys. Just give me 2 minutes, 3 minutes. I promise. I'm back. Sorry about that, guys. What's up? I went ahead and made myself a quick sandwich. Emir, thank you for the sub, man. Jay, I did saw the ZBrush UI stuff. I think it's good. I actually want the clean UI, but I do hope they keep the option to switch between them. I'm not sure how easy or difficult that is, but I hope they do keep the option. So I know there's gonna be some people that are not gonna like the new one. So here, let's delete all of this edge loops, because most of this thing is hidden. So those, delete those. I'll delete those just to keep things clean for now. Okay. Those. That's about it. I actually deleted more than I should, but that's fine. Shouldn't be too problematic. I hope it isn't. I really hope it isn't. It's really good, Andre. With photogrammetry, really good option. Give me 1 second. There we go. Let me just finish my sandwich real quick. Any more questions? Did I miss? I just went and got the sandwich. I'll be finishing the retopo in just a couple of minutes. Do you guys like the end of the bread? In Mexico, we call it the tapa. I don't mind it. But I know there's some people that don't like it. Oh yes, the new ZBrush topology stuff is gonna be really crazy. Martin David says, I was learning ZBrush for your course, and I'm stuck at the face. What should I do? What course? The anatomy course? You call it the butt? The butt of the bread? It's good. I think it's good. I don't mind. Okay, so what I'm gonna do here, let me try something here. Okay, yeah, awesome. That's what I want to check. So I'm gonna go here to the Google Blade, and then this one right here. Yeah, so I'm gonna grab this one. I'm gonna grab it into the handle right here, and I'm gonna grab both of them, and I'm gonna say, there's an option. There was an option to merge this, I think. What was the option? This one, merge visible. I'm gonna hide the teeth. And I'm gonna say mesh, merge visible. And what that will do is it creates a new copy, as you can see, of the handle and the blade together. So here we're gonna be using a lot of triangles. But what we need to do, what we want to do, is capture all the different detail. Oh, okay, the red only, yeah, of course. So, best thing I can do for you, Martin, just send me a DM on Discord. Send me some pictures of your sculpture to see how it's going, and I can do a quick like draw over on the elements to help you out. Okay. Luis Rodriguez says, what do you think about these 3D schools like BFS? I want a 1-year scholarship. Is it like fully paid? If it's fully paid, go for it, man. Like, there's nothing, absolutely nothing wrong with using that that information. Yes, you can learn all of that stuff online, but I mean, if you want and it's completely free, that's it. Like, of course, I know you're gonna have to pay for the housing and rent and stuff like that once you're in Vancouver, but I think it's definitely worth it because of the connections. We talked about that earlier today. And that's one of the things that you're going to get a lot of mileage from, right? Like the connections, your peers that you're going to meet, the teachers, the faculty, the events that you're going to be able to attend while you're there. So if you can afford, if you have a visa, and it's a project that you can sustain yourself, then I would definitely recommend using that opportunity. However, if they're offering you like, I don't know, like a 10%, 20% discount and it's too expensive, then no, definitely, you can definitely learn that online. I'm not sure what the level is currently for BFS as a school. I'm guessing it's still like pretty good. When I was a student, it was one of the big ones. I'm currently working as a mentor in Think Tank, which I know is really good. Like recently in the rookies, I think Think Tank was in like 4th place or something like that worldwide. Noma was in like 2nd place. There was another school that was 1st place, but I don't remember which one it was. So yeah, like again, going to a school or to university, it's a good option. If you can afford it, I would not suggest or recommend anyone going to depth for that. So if you have parents and they're willing to pay for it, that's great. Like I was very fortunate when I was learning that my parents helped me with the school. I did work for a couple of years to save for that because it was an expensive school, the Noman back in the day. But I did have the opportunity, and I know not everyone has the exact same opportunity. So if you can afford it, go for it. If you can't, there's other ways. There's definitely other ways. Photo Hooligan says, oh yeah, I'm a think tank right now. Hey, there you go. So if you eventually get to your mentorship term and you want me to be your mentor, you can select me on the mentors like selection. There's me and a bunch of other very, very talented mentors there. So yeah. Yeah, I'm currently a think tank. I have a lot of rogue birdseeds right here. Let's get rid of them. There we go. Can I hide this? Is it that one? Can you see that line, that crazy line going somewhere? That means that there's a rogue vertex somewhere. There. Gotcha. Gotta be careful about those. I wonder how good this is for CAD meshes for plasticity. It should be good, man. As long as you can export them in like FBX or OBJ format, you should be able to bring them here into Topocon and just like retopologize them normally. Okay, so here we're also gonna need some triangles. So this is what I was mentioning earlier. These bumps right here are really intense. So we might need to capture them a little bit better. Sorry, I was getting far from the microphone. Oh, I see. Film. Yeah, film is a little bit different. Yeah, I do mostly games. Right now I have 2 mentees. One of them is doing characters and the other one's doing environments. And I've had like 6 mentees so far. I started working with them like last year. Really happy to be part of that team as well. What softwares do you usually use for your workflow? That's a great question. So my main like package is ZBrush, Maya, Substance Painter. But it depends on what I'm doing. Unreal Engine is what I use for engines. Again, it really depends on what I'm doing. When I'm doing like hand paint, for instance, this one right here, this is 3D code, right? But this weapon right here, it's going to be a hand painted weapon. So I'm going to be using 3D code for painting. But if I'm doing like PBR stuff, I'll usually do Substance Painter. Not gonna lie, this doesn't look as bad as people, man. Nah, people are... I was gonna say a bad word there. People are... You know what I'm gonna say. They complain too much. It's like not... What is it, like 2 hours? We've been working on this like 2-3 hours. It's almost done. We're gonna have a perfectly good like asset for a game. Gonna be really well optimized. Gonna have a very nice UV in just a second. So yeah, people tend to be way too drama queens about it. The same with anatomy. People are like, oh, anatomy is so hard. It's not hard. You just need to learn. It's tricky, but just get your... Like, we've gotten very soft in the past couple of years. We want everything to be super simple. That's why AI became such a big deal right now, I think. Because AI was the solution. I was like, oh, now I don't need to work hard and I can just get like a nice result quickly. Now, let's see how long that lasts. Have you seen the news about people sort of like thinking that the AI bubble is about to burst? Companies are valued at way too high, and there's no way they're going to be able to hold or to achieve those levels of returns of investment as they mentioned. So we have to see how that works. There we go. That's it. That's all we need to do. So we have the teeth right there, and we have the element. There's a couple of things that I may need to change there on the teeth. You can see these ones are a little bit way too low, but we can always do that inside of we can always do that inside of Maya. There's a couple of features that I see right here. Some weird faces, but that's fine. We'll fix again that on Maya. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna say File, Export Mesh. Let's call this Blade Low. And then we select the teeth, and we do the same thing. File, Export Mesh, and these are going to be teeth. And let's open Maya. Following that, they're placebo investing into each other to stay afloat. Yeah, it's weird. It's a weird situation. Oh, the Coca-Cola ad, man! Don't get me started on that. So bad. Should I retopologize rock sim sculpting or nah? Just decimate. Yeah, you don't need to retopologize every single thing. There are certain things that work, but it's not everyone, or it's not every single asset. Some school beat Noman. Yeah. I mean, Noman has gotten the first place like several times along the years, but it's good. Like, competition is always good. I mean, just being in the top 10 is already like a huge thing. What's the advantage of doing a watertight mesh like this? That's a great question. Usually for deformation tends to be a little bit easier. In this case, it really doesn't matter that much. It's going to make our UVs better. Bakes are also going to be a little bit tighter, I think. It definitely reduces the amount of poly count because we don't need to go inside the elements to generate the overlaps. It also makes it so that we don't waste too much UV space. Yeah, it's a little bit time consuming, but it's not too bad. Okay, so let's bring in teeth and blade. There we go. So the first thing I'm gonna check is any weird faces that we might have. I was seeing some weird stuff over there, but it seems like it's fixed. Yeah, looks like a weird display stuff right there. I don't see anything right now. And look at that silhouette right there. Like, this is the silhouette that we're gonna see in the game. Oh, that's beautiful, right? Very tight. Very clean. So that's what we want to see. Awesome. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to just go to the front view and just select all of the edges that are on the center line. Right? Make sure that everything is selected. Center line, center line, center line, center line. Yep. Seems to be the proper one. R to go into scale mode. Just going to scale everything and snap it to the center of the grid. There we go. That should give us the perfect sort of like half part of the element. And this kind of weapons, because they're symmetrical, we are going to be doing a mirror UV, right? So we only need to do the UVs for one side of the weapon, and everything that we do on one side is going to be on the other side. If you want to have unique textures on both sides, then of course you need to do another thing. But in this case, I think this one is fair enough with this one. Like, we're going to be fine with just like mirror UVs. The one thing that I want to change here is this. So this one right here. Gonna push those guys up. Push those guys up as well right there. Here, for instance, the mesh. This vertices right here. Let's push it out a little bit so that it covers the teeth. You can see how the teeth are having a little bit of an issue overlapping a little bit too much with these points. I might need to break the cage a little bit here. Right, to make sure that we don't see too much of the teeth, because the teeth were right. But this means that our cage here for the teeth might be a little bit too low poly. I don't want to add more polygons, so I'm gonna modify this. Everything's gonna be painted, so even if some things don't match as much, we can sort of like fake them out a little bit. Vertex right there. Get it in. Here, get it in. Yeah, the inside doesn't matter that much, but yeah, everything else, that should be good. Cool. Do you have any advice for monster creating for beginners? You need to have good forms. It's all about sculpting forms, right? And knowing about the retopology. Any advice on how to be less afraid of retopology? What are you afraid of? Like, first of all, let's define Go Lotus. What are you afraid of in terms of retopology specifically? Because once we answer that question, it's going to be a lot easier to understand, or it's going to be a little easier for me to tell you how to beat that fear. You're afraid of messing it up? Are you afraid of not knowing where to place the elements? What is it? Moon is usually the same stuff. Like, we want to have loops in certain areas. We want to have, what's the word? We want to have a good edge flow, or vertex that can emerge. Yeah, I don't know. It's all about that. So the thing that you need to focus on is in the resolution, right? Like, most of the faces need to have the exact same size or similar sizes so that it makes sense in terms of the resolution that they have. And we need to have a flow that makes sense, right? So in this case, the edge makes sense, this edge makes sense, the edge on the horns makes sense. Why do we need this? Because of the UVs, which I'm gonna do right now. So if we go into UVs, I'm gonna do a camera-based mapping just to get the basic stuff. What I want to do is I want to start cutting this into multiple elements, right? So if we have a good flow or an obvious flow, it should be fairly easy to just start cutting things out. For instance, here, the skull. I'm gonna cut the skull out of this whole thing, right? Oh, here we have a little bit, this thing's called a non-manifold geometry. We got to be careful, very careful about this. Let me show you. So when you're doing low poly versions of your elements, this can be quite common. Look at that face right there. See how it's trying to do or be two triangles at the same time, even though it's a square? That's bad. So what we want to do is whenever you see one of those faces, just triangulate in the direction that makes the most sense. So in this case, that direction right there. That's now going to give me the proper sort of like flow that I want. Those non-manifold, it's not non-manifold, it's actually called non-planar faces. Those non-planar faces, or this non-planar faces, are very, very problematic. And the way I show you is how you fix it. You just go here with your knife brush and you cut it in the direction that makes the most sense. So that one right there. If the shading looks wrong, don't worry. We can always go mesh display, soften edge, and that's gonna sort of like clean it up a little bit. So I'm gonna go again, UV, 3D condenser UV tool, and let's continue with the flow here. So right around there. So I'm gonna cut here and there. So as you can see, that's splitting. That pretty much split the whole thing, the whole sort of like bone section from everything else. And I'm gonna leave the bone section like this. I don't think we need to do any unfold any more than what we already have. That should be more than enough. The horns is another one. So we always try to go, of course, on the areas that are a little bit more hidden. So in this case, I'm gonna go on the border where the horn connects. So all of this area right here, it tends to be a little bit more hidden. Right, from this other side, let's keep going over here. And the topology, if you did the right or a good topology, it's going to give you pretty much the direction that you want. Now, where are we going to make the cut for the character or for this horn? Probably on the inside, like here. Because that's the area that we're going to see the least, right? Like, it's going to be like quite hidden, so we don't see the seam from this side. We don't really see the seam from this side, just a little bit. And since this thing is going to be like on the hand of the character, that's, I would say, a good place to hide that stuff. We can again split the blade here. From here. Just follow the line that we have there as a border. Like that. There we go. And I'm gonna go this direction, right there. Right, so it's gonna give me the blade as a single element, pretty much. It's gonna give me the handle. It's gonna be giving the horn. And then for this one right here, I do think we can split at least the lower section of the jaw. So I'm gonna go along this line right here, so that the unfold works a little bit better. We have a full video about this on the channel, by the way. It's called how to master UVs or something like that. And that's it. Like, if we take a look at this whole thing, and we go UV editor, we unfold. Look at that. We got handle, blade, bottom part of the mouth, and then horn. That's it. Easy retopology right there. Let's grab this one right here. Let's do a planar mapping as well, or camera-based mapping. And the cut in this one's very simple. It's just going to be down the back. Like that. And that's it. So now we just grab both of these guys. Control U. Control L. That's it. Now we go to the next section, which is organizing these things in a better way. So the blade, of course, is going to be very important. So let's have it right here. This is the skull, which is also going to be quite important. Let's go right here. This is the handle. Another important part. Let's go right here. Actually, let's have it here. And one of the things that we can try is see if maybe we can make the islands just a little bit bigger, so they fit a little bit better here. I think we can. I'm gonna go a little bit bigger here, because the bigger the islands, the more resolution we're gonna be able to get, right? So something like that. I'm gonna use the handle as my reference, and we should be able to get most stuff in here. Oh, almost. We're not gonna be able to make it as much. I mean, we can split this into more parts, but I don't want to split things, to be honest. Usually you don't want to split things. Let's try rotating this. This is kind of like playing Tetris, right? You're trying to find the best possible configuration without breaking the rules of... well, we have to make them just a tiny bit smaller. But again, trying to get as much resolution as we can. Let's see. How to deal with the normal mapping of high poly when UV is mirrored. Bake only one side. Oh, I'm going to show it. I'm going to show you how to do that. I'm going to show you how to do that in just a second. So here I'm going to do something that I don't like doing, but it's going to be important, which is I'm going to flip this UV. So it's not going to be going in the same direction as everything else, but it's going to allow me to get everything into position. And then finally, this like bone pieces, which are the teeth, we can just have them here on the top. So that's it. That's again, it's a good UV. Nothing too fancy, right? Like something relatively simple. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to grab both elements. Well, first of all, I'm going to grab this element. I'm going to say mirror. And we're going to mirror this on the X negative axis. And I do want to merge the vortex border. I do want to merge the border vertices. There you go. So once I do that, I'm going to go to the UV section, UV editor. I'm going to grab the UV shells from the viewport. I'm going to grab this UV shell, this UV shell, this UV shell, and this UV shell, right? And of course, the one on the bottom, that UV shell right there. And here with my tools, I'm going to go to transform. And I'm going to move this thing one tile to the side, like this. This is one tile on the side, okay? That's what I'm going to do. For the teeth, let me just check here the geometry. I'm a little bit concerned about geometry. Let's do mesh display and soften edges again. There we go. This one again, mesh display and soften edge. And these ones are important because if I do the same thing, it's actually going to merge, or it might merge. Oh, it didn't. Okay. I thought it was going to merge the borders, but no, that's fine. There we go. So same deal. I'm going to go here to the UVs, UV editor, grab the UV shells of in this case, the red teeth right here. Like that. And with my tools here, just move them to the side, like that. So now, if we take a look at both elements, right? We're going to have one on UV tile 1 and the other one on UV tile 2. This is how we're going to be doing Raysum UV. No, yeah, I've tried Raysum, Sandy. It's good. It's just a little bit not too complex. Like for something as simple as this, I don't think we need Raysum. But for some more advanced stuff, definitely need it. So what if that had merged? Well, I would need to find a way to sort of like cut them out or something. Now let's bring in, because we need to prepare the high poly as well. So I'm going to bring in the gold blade high. And we need to combine a couple of elements because they might not be the exact same like way they were before. There we go. So as you can see, we have 3 elements right here, right, for the high poly. So what I need to do is I need to grab this guy right here and the blade, and we're going to combine them. So we're going to merge them into single one. And once this is merged, I'm going to call this gold blade underscore high. And that same name has to be on the other one, on this thing right here. Oh my god. Gold blade low. There we go. Now see how we have a namespace right there? I need to get rid of that. We're going to go Windows, General Editors, Namespace Editor. Grab this whole thing and just delete. Merge with parent. And there we go. So we have gold blade high and gold blade low. And then these are going to be teeth high. And these are going to be teeth low. So now I'm going to do the bakes inside of Marmoset, just because it's fun. I'm going to grab all of these guys right here. I'm going to export, file, export selection. Oh, one second before that. I'm going to grab both of the low elements right here. And I'm going to assign a new material. And it's going to be just a basic Lambert material. I'm just going to call this M gold blade. There we go. So now we can grab all of those 4 elements. Just make sure that the names are proper. So we need the underscore low and underscore high. So both lows and both highs, same name, same naming convention, everything. We're going to export this. It's an FBX, of course. And I'm going to call this gold blade bakes. Now we jump into Marmoset. Yeah, forgot the underscore, but it's there. Do you think many startups or the companies that have been in the industry for so many years will shift towards for free software? No, I don't think they will. It's really not that, like, I know that the cost of the licenses seems like it's a lot for us as indie artists or for small studios, but for big studios, believe me, like the amount of money that they're managing, it's not that. Unfortunately, and it's not anything new, right? It's a lot of greed, right? They want to have their very high margins and things like that. So, but no, I don't think they're gonna switch as much. Okay, so I'm gonna go classic here. Let's create a baker, and in the baker we have the option here, the quick loader. Quick loader is awesome because with the quick loader, if the file has your underscore low underscore high, it will automatically create what we want. So I'm just hit open. And as you can see, what it's going to do is it's going to create a folder with each of the elements. So gold blade. And then gold blade. Why do we have two though? Did I made a mistake? Gold blade low, teeth, blade, gold blade high. Gold blade low. Oh, for some reason this is not where it's supposed to be. Let's bring it here. This one we don't need. So it should be high. There's our high poly right there. Low, there's our low poly right there. And then our teeth, you should have their high and low poly. Okay. So once we have this, we of course need to set up our project properly. So on the bake project, I'm gonna go to the folder where I want to bake these things. So the bakes are gonna go here. Let's create a new folder to keep things organized. So let's call this bakes. And it's gonna be called Gold Dagger. So Gold Dagger. Samples, let's go to 32 samples. PSD is fine. 2K is fine, I think, for this weapon. We can go 4K. Should we go 4K? Let's go 4K. Let's go freaking 4K. And I normally just like to do normals and ambient occlusion first, just to see how things are working. So I'm just going to set that up. I know it's behind my screen. Sorry about that. But I'm just setting the normals and ambient occlusion. And I'm just going to do start bake. So the bake is starting right here. You can see it's going, it's going, it's going. And once it's finished, I can click on this preview material. And it should create a preview right there. Look at that. That's it. Beautiful. Beautiful. Look at that bake right there. Let's get rid of the roughness so we can see the like a matte view. Awesome, right? Really freaking good. Like it's catching every single detail right there. Yeah, there's a little error in the teeth. I'll show you how to fix that in just a second. I'm just doing a quick inspection. There's a little bit of an issue there as well. That's very common because of the empty space. There's a little bit of an issue right there as well. So those I'm not too worried about because those are things that we're going to eventually be painting out, or I'm going to be painting out. But yeah, let's take a look at the teeth. So the reason why this is like not working perfectly is because the cage of the teeth might not be going far enough to catch all of the information. You can see it right there. So on the teeth, on the cage of the teeth, I'm just going to increase the max offset a little bit, or quite a bit. So that it goes all the way across the teeth, and it checks all of that information. Okay, let's turn them off. And there we go. So that pretty much fixes any issue that we might have on the teeth. And as you can see, these are mirrored UVs, right? These are completely mirrored UVs, and we're getting like the exact same result on both sides of the weapon. I'm going to do the same thing for the handle. So I'm going to go here to the low poly on the handle. I'm just going to increase the max offset a little bit. Let's see if that helps me with some of those like weird like elements that we were getting there. Is it possible to bake in Topogun? Yes, it is. It is possible. I'm going to be honest. It doesn't have the greatest baker to use. I would definitely advise to you to bake it in a different software. It's not horrible, but it's not as good or as refined as Marmoset, for instance, that we have right here. But now when the teeth cage overlaps each other, not really, not too much, a little bit, but nothing too major. Right? And we get this. Got any advice to get started with Maya for beginners? I tried using it before, but it was a bit intimidating. I know it's similar to Blender. Yeah, I have a course. Where is it? Here. So I made a course specifically for Maya. It's called Maya Stylized Worlds, and I show you how to make these little pirate islands. We take a look at a little bit of rigging. We take a little bit of look at texturing, rendering, modeling, animation, just a little bit of everything. It's a good primer for Maya. What is it? It's like 10 hours long? Yeah, 10.5 hours long. So if you're interested in learning and you have like just the very basic notions of how it works, this one right here is it's a really good one. It's a fun one. So yeah, that's it. So now the only thing I need to do is go back to the textures and bake the other ones that we're going to be using instead of substance. So normals, curvature. Oh, material ID, that's an important one. Let's take a look at that. So let's do material ID, but in the material ID, let me see if it works. No, it's not material ID. It's actually vertex color that we want. We're going to be using vertex color. And we also need thickness and position. Let's just wait for the bake to finish. And once the bake is done, there you go. Remember, this was a 4K bake. That's why it took a little bit longer. I'm gonna bake mode. I'm gonna change this to offline so that it doesn't do it automatically if I change anything. And we can even turn on like a ray tracing. Like ray tracing is gonna definitely change the look of this thing. It's gonna look way more realistic, right? Because of the whole like elements. It seems like we have a non-manifold geometry right there. I'm not sure if it's that or if it's like a no, it's a shadow. Okay, it was a shadow. So yeah, you can see that once we have ray tracing enabled, for instance, all of those like details, they're way less noticeable. So yeah, the reason why we're doing vertex color is because the original high polys had vertex color. So if I go here to the bake project, I should be able to see the vertex color. And unfortunately, we have no vertex color. Why? Why don't we have a vertex color? It's really weird. We should have vertex color. I'm really confused. We should have vertex color. Okay, that's fine. Let's go back to Maya. So something happened on the high poly that we lost our vertex color. Hopefully we didn't lose the mesh separation. Okay, we didn't. No, I didn't save it as an OBJ. It was a normal high poly. So this is why I don't like Maya. Maya really struggles when you have like really dense meshes. Okay, so this is what I'm going to do. I am going to go to the teeth high here inside of Maya. And I'm going to go to mesh display. And then apply vertex, apply color here, option box. Is it this one? And I'm going to do like red or whatever. Hit apply color. Now that's the vertex color for the teeth. For the whole weapon though, we're gonna need to do a little bit of a trick here. So I'm gonna file, export selection. I'm gonna export this as gold blade high again. Export selection, yes. Gonna go into ZBrush, import, gold blade high. Oh, saving. There we go. Gold blade high. Open. Okay. As you can see, it does have like different polygroups. Oh no, it doesn't. This one doesn't. So I'm gonna do other groups, and then similar to what we did before, I'm just gonna start isolating some of these pieces to group them into a single element. There we go. So all of those, Control W, so they have the same polygroup. And then same thing over here. Control W. There we go. So now every single mesh here has its own polygroup. If I go to the options right here to polypaint, I can do polypaint from polygroups. So now every single object has its own polygroup. And now we export again. So export selection, all UV normals. Yeah, I should export this. Like, it should work now. Gold dagger high. Export that real quick. It's polygroups per material or per object? Per object. I believe it's per object. A good SSD is a must in the world. Yeah, of course. Yeah. I have like one M2 and a couple of SSDs and some HDDs. So a little bit of everything. It's just writing the file right now. Almost there, guys. We're almost at the end of the stream now. Samuel says, hey, I've talked with a senior 3D artist at Ubisoft and he told me that we have to create high poly and low poly and bake them for models which are not even created in ZBrush. Why is that? Because you always want to bake as much curvature and as much like fine details and clean elements as possible. So even if you're like poly modeling with subdivision workflow inside of Maya, you can still export the high poly and the low poly and you're going to get a very nice result. Okay, so let's go back here. Let's delete this one. File, import. Let's bring in gold blade high again. Let's see if it works now. Okay, I know we're not gonna see the colors right now because of the material, but it should work for the export. Let's say file, export selection. Let me just make sure that we're exporting. We don't need animation. Let's try that. Which cube map? Just the default one. Yeah, the default one works. Thank you, Nitish. I love you too. Thank you for the support. You should use Blender when handling the really dense model. It is way faster than Maya Max. Yeah, it can be quite fast. Okay, now over here. Go. We need to bring this high. Okay, let's try this one. Let's try the bake again. Let's see if that fixes it. If not, I'm gonna have to do like something else. I'll probably just do that off camera. Yeah, something is happening with the poly paint from what's the word from ZBrush. It's not exporting. It should export as a vertex color. What is it? Is it a setting that I'm missing? I'm pretty sure it's not a setting that I'm missing. Options. Export smoothing levels. Yeah, that's really weird. I'm not sure why it's not working. It's Maya? Maya is breaking the whole thing? Could be, but it's really weird. Yeah, I've tried Nomad Sculpt before. Okay, let's do a quick test. I'm gonna do a quick test here. So I'm gonna grab both high polys. Let's export this. Gold blade bakes. I'm just gonna try like Substance Painter and see if we get the same error. And then we'll call it a day. You forgot to no, I did turn it on because it's catching the teeth, as you can see right there. So on the vertex color, it is grabbing the vertex color. But for some reason it's not grabbing the like something's happening with the vertex color on the other high poly. The low poly is not matching the high. No, it is. I checked that. Oh, now I see what you mean. Yeah, the gold that was missing right there. Yeah. Okay, on the low poly. I see what you mean. Yeah, I had a bad D right there. You're right. But even then, like, because I moved the stuff inside of Marmoset so that it had the proper, so it was baking from the proper element. So yeah, let's try it very quickly here inside of Substance. File new. I'm just gonna do 1024 for now. And let's go Gold Blades Bake. There we go. Open. Yeah. Okay. Grab the high poly. And on the ID, we're gonna use vertex color. Let's bake. Yeah, there you go. It did work here. It's really weird. It's really freaking weird. Anyway, it did work here. Oh, I guess Substance wins this round. This is like a 4K bake. I'm gonna change this to automatic. And let's do 16x. We actually don't need to match because I do want the ambient occlusion for both of them. And yeah, but let's bake. So yeah, that's the ID map right there. There we go. So that's it, guys. This is the end result here for the dagger. With this, we are pretty much done to jump into the next stage. For those of you that are wondering, well, what the next stage is, Of course, the next stage is going through the hand-painted process, right? So that's something that we cover on the hand-painted course, on this one right here. And pretty much what you just saw was part of Chapter 4, Retopology, and part of Chapter 5. If you want to learn a lot more about this whole thing, well, here's the course. You can, of course, check it out. You can support the channel, support everything here. There's a little bit of a weird bag right there. Not too worried about that because we can very, very cleanly or easily clean it up later with the hand-painted approach. But that's it, my friends. Thank you very much. We're gonna be finishing the stream right now. If you have any questions, feel free to jump into the Discord channel and we can help you out over there. And yeah, if you wanna, of course, support the channel, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and I'll be showing you the final results soon. As soon as I keep working on this and get it ready, I'll share it with you with the final hand-painted approach. Thank you very much, David. Thank you very much, Alan. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for your support and have a great weekend. I'll see you back on the next one. Bye-bye.